Hello, everybody, and welcome back. No Punches Pulled, episode number 6, coming to you for the next God knows how long, but we'll go with it. Got my co-host, Mr. Liam Tully up top, and Mr. Jay's Fight Talk at the bottom. Good evening, fellas. How are we?
All good, boys. Good to be here.
Yeah, all good as always, boys. Good. Ready to get stuck in, see how long we go for tonight.
Absolutely. Probably way longer than we should. And there'll be plenty of room left in the doghouse for the three of us like there is most weeks. But where do we start? There's so much to uncover from today. I mean, to be honest with you, boys, we've done the main event of Joshua Dubois to the death. I don't want to rinse and repeat content for the great people that watch us constantly. So we'll part the main event. We haven't really covered too much on the undercard, have we, to be honest? So we'll do a quick little segment while the audience builds. Until the big talking points, which are going to be the stuff that's happened this afternoon. There's a lot of other things I've got wrote down that we can get stuck into too. So while things build up, we'll go back to last Saturday at Wembley when Liam Tully attended. So we'll start with Chamberlain Padley then, shall we, and work our way up, and we'll finish with Shiraz and Tyler Denny. So huge shot, boys, in the 135-pound division. Mark Chamberlain losing a unanimous decision to the relatively unknown Josh Padley. Just didn't look switched on. You know, Padley took his opportunity in the lights. You know, Liam especially talked it up a lot in the week coming up. So yeah, boys, what do we make of that? And good evening, Dan Evans. Thank you for joining us, and good evening, Luca, as well. Thanks, boys.
Hi, Luca. Yeah, sorry, Liam. I mean,
go, mate. Fire.
What can we say? I think Mark Chamberlain turned up a bit expectant, a little bit entitled, maybe. I think we laughed about the teeth and the suntan, but there'd been an obvious change in his sort of personality. He seemed, he'd spent a few quid on the proviso that he got a fat paycheck. Might just be coincidence, but the way he fought initially was as though he was very dismissive of what Padley brought to the table and just didn't believe that Padley had anything. And it felt like even when he'd had the points taken off and was getting frustrated, it still looked like, and the corner still sounded like they were expecting him to catch up with Padley at some point. And then before he knew it, ding, ding, end of 12 rounds, and he lost a UD. I think if that fight was fought again, it would play out very different, because I believe that Chamberlain is significantly better than he showed us on Saturday night.
Yeah.
I just don't believe he turned up with the right mindset. And I think Padley boxed out of his skin. He took the opportunity, as you are supposed to as an underdog. An underdog is supposed to do what he and Daniel Dubois did the other night, which is turn up, put on the performance of your life, lay it all on the line. And, the cards will fall where they'll fall. But, he was in charge of his own destiny. He never swayed from that. He was confident at the face-offs. He was confident at the press conference. Every interview Steffi Bull gave, he said, "We're coming here to pull off the upset." Everybody laughed and just, he is supposed to say that, but they obviously meant it. And he turned up, and the result of that was he got the unanimous decision victory.
I think for me, the biggest thing I can say, Josh Padley turned up in the same way, with the same hunger, with the same attitude that Mark Chamberlain rocked up to in Saudi Arabia in February when he fought on the AJ and Ngannou card. The roles were reversed. Chamberlain's like, right, okay, I've made a bit of money. Oh, Dennis Barancic after this. Oh, lovely. Oh, well done.
Must be tough, Liam, when you've got everyone blowing smoke up your arse non-stop as well, and you're Turkey's favourite fighter. And
I think he's believed his own hype.
Turkey was only there for the last round, by the way. So, he missed 9 rounds in the fire.
Nice hoodie, by the way, Liam. Nice hoodie. I've just noticed, mate. Nice hoodie.
Yeah, big up the hashtag MPP hoodies. Be available in stock soon.
Oh, yeah, they will.
50 quid.
Yeah, and the rest.
To get back to what I was saying, it was almost role reversal of what we've seen from Mark Chamberlain earlier in the year. He's sort of a bit of complacency crept in. He's thinking, okay, I'm either going to get Barancic or worst case scenario, and it wasn't really a worst case scenario. He'd fight Sam Noakes for the European belt. What a humdinger of a fight that would have been.
We were calling for that for this night, and if he'd have fought Sam Noakes on that performance,
Noakes would have destroyed him. Noakes would have cleaned him out, man.
Yeah.
Having sat ringside for Noakes at York Hall at the start of this month, the 2 performances we got from Noakes that night, the performance we got from Chamberlain on Saturday, that would have gone 3 rounds. Noakes would have absolutely cleaned him out.
Yeah, to wipe the floor with him based on that performance. I'm not saying he does that in general, but we've got to base it on, you know, your last performance is, you know, all we've got to go off, really. You know, recency bias.
Yeah, the way to look at it is Barancic is gone now. He's not going to fight Dennis Barancic. So there's 2 ways to look at it. We had a conversation.
Rematch has to be, Liam.
Yes, it has to be a rematch. Or do they just go, right, we'll give you Sam Noakes now? Because let's be honest, he's not a world level fighter, Mark Chamberlain, just because of what he's seen him do this year. Him and Sam Noakes is a very good crossroads fight. The only difference is they both don't have their O's anymore.
I'd keep them apart for now.
I think Frank will keep them apart. Yeah, Frank will give Josh Padley to Chamberlain again for the rematch. Big up Jam's Boxing Chat. Great show over on STBX with Mr. Liam Tully. Liam's Fight Night picks. Very, very good watch. Great, knowledgeable boxing guy, Mr. Jam's Boxing Chat. And, of course, our very own Liam Tully. So great work, boys. Well done.
Yeah, great show. Make sure you catch it.
The other thing I'll say on that, then, so you're saying they're going to keep Noakes and Chamberlain apart, which I agree with. Does Noakes now get the WBO shot? Just quickly, I know we're not talking about
possibly,
Sam Noakes.
Possibly.
You know, Barancic will probably be. He beat Navarrete, didn't he? He'll probably be due a voluntary. So, but it could be on a Riyadh season card, I guess. But
I think it's too early for Noakes, me. I think he needs
Barancic's tough. That's a tough fight.
I think he needs sort of a tough, if you can say, sort of in between fight, but he needs a step up before he goes up to that level.
He needs someone from world level.
Yeah, it's still a bit of a big gap to bridge at the moment for me. Yes, Pat.
Hi, Pat. How's things, my man? We'll move on then from Chamberlain and Paddy. Don't want to spend too much time on that. Let's go to Anto Kakachi against Josh Warrington. Wide win for Kakachi on the judges' scorecard in the end. I personally had it the same as Liam, who was at Wembley. I scored it 7-5 at the time. I've watched it back since. I could see how it was wider for Kakachi. Definitely pulled away as the fight went on. It was a brave effort from Josh Warrington. Consequently means that, you know, there hasn't been an official statement on it yet. Yeah, Jay's put it 8-4.
8-4, I had it.
There hasn't been an official statement on the Josh Warrington announcement yet, but he laid his gloves in the ring, so it looked like he will retire. So we'll reminisce on Josh a little bit as well in the coming bit. But Anto Kakachi, guys, what a story, man. I said to you last week that I watched the Carl Frampton interview. I think I said it on your show, Jay, on Saturday. The guy who's delivering Chinese is a year ago to help put food on the table for his kids because he wasn't earning enough money from boxing. He's gone and knocked Joe Cordina out and beat Josh Warrington in the space of 4 months. And he's one fight away from being a millionaire, which for me that's what this Riyadh season's given people the platform to do. He's talking away from the Sugar Nunes fight, which I don't blame him for, but he's going up to lightweight in my opinion. But let's just talk about what he's kind of done. You know, Kakachi on a roll in.
Yeah, mate, Kakachi is 100% on a roll. And just to go back to Saturday night, I messaged you boys, didn't I? I think it was after round 7 to try and get your feeling on the scoring. Because I said to Jay on Monday, the hardest fight to score in the stadium on Saturday night was Warrington and Kakachi by a mile. Had it 7-5 on the night. I've watched it back. I have it 8-4 Kakachi. So in the same ballpark as what we've just discussed. But what he's done for his career is phenomenal. And it's the difference of... He was probably a fighter that if he lost to Joe Cordina was going to retire. Let's be really honest. What did boxing have left for him? He's in his 30s. He's had his injuries. He's had opportunities that he's not grabbed hold of. And he's turned his life around in May. By his own admission, he went into the Cordina fight because he felt like it was his one last shot to get anything out of boxing. He achieved his dream winning that world title, didn't he? And now he's got to fight at Wembley. Okay, I'd say there's probably about 25, 30,000 in there at the time that these two fought. Still the biggest crowd that he's fought in front of in his career by a mile. And he done exactly the same again. He done a Josh Warrington style performance. By that I mean Josh Warrington in his heyday prided himself on his gas tank, on his relentlessness, on being able to stay on someone's chest for 12 rounds and get his work off. That is exactly what Kakachi done to Warrington.
Yeah, he out Warrington, didn't he?
Exactly what he done. And it was a fantastic performance. And what I liked is he, even when rounds 3 and 4, I think, were probably Warrington's clearest to the fight. Even when those 2 rounds went against him, he had 6 minutes in a row where the game plan just wasn't working for him. He didn't deter, did he? He stayed on the game plan. He probably trusted the fact that Josh was going to tire later in the fight because he's older now, because of the miles he's got on the clock. and he just followed it to the letter. He never once deterred, and he was a deserved winner in the end. I never had any doubts about him being the winner. But yeah, like you say, it's an incredible story. He's turned his life around, and I don't blame him for wanting to stay away from Sugar Nunes. Let's be honest, there isn't a lot of money, even by Riyadh season standards, in him having a mandatory defence against Sugar Nunes.
Yeah, I couldn't see. Yeah, like what Pat said, Liam. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah, I couldn't see Loma or Tank wanting to fight Anthony Kakachi with the greatest of Jay's Fight Talk style, with the greatest of respect. I don't see any of them wanting to fight Anto, but. So if he goes to 135, is he really going to vacate his title where there's money attached to being a world champion?
I think that decision's been taken out of his hands. As you guys said, he looked rotten on the scales. Absolutely rotten.
I did. He was so gone.
He looked rotten 24 hours later, if we're honest.
Yeah,
and I thought it was a ploy. Even rehydrated, he looked rotten. I don't believe he's got long left at lightweight, whether he likes it or not. And if he goes and boxes Nunes, weight drained, because I don't fancy his chances against Nunes anyway. With the most,
I wouldn't fancy his chances in middleweight against Nunes.
I don't fancy many people's chances against Nunes, if I'm honest. And I think the only person that'll beat Nunes is Nunes himself, and I mean that by him underestimating an opponent, getting a little bit blasé about training camp. I think that will be his downfall. For me, if he can make the weight again, just have another mandatory. If you can get a mandatory or an easy voluntary in Belfast, then maybe rematch Joe Cordina in Belfast.
Well, the thing is, the problem that Anto's got is if he doesn't fight Sugar, he's losing the belt, and the belt's the only attraction to fight him.
Depends how much money they offer him to step aside.
But they already stepped him aside for the Warrington fight.
I know they did, but potentially there's a bigger fight in Belfast. Unless they make the Nunes fight in Belfast, I'd like to see him.
Sugar would come. Sugar would go over to Belfast.
Sugar will fight him anywhere. Sugar's not worried about where he fights. He just wants the straps.
And look, even more so in this era of Frank and Eddie being best friends, which we all have our opinions on, that's more likely to happen. Sugar is with Matchroom. Obviously, Anthony's with Queensbury. That's a joint UK card. They don't necessarily need Saudi, Turkey money to do it. You could do that as a TNT Sports Fight Night if you're going to get the chance.
They might fight in Eddie and Frank's shared bungalow's garden then, because by the sounds of the way them two are power necking, I wouldn't be surprised if they share hotel rooms now.
No, don't, Jay. We don't want SW Fight having any. We don't want any.
Get sued by Uncle.
Yeah, we don't want any suing going on at SW Fight. Calm it down, mate. Calm it down. We'll get into that later on. Do not worry about that. Quick word for Josh Warrington, boys, before we move on.
I mean, what can you say about Josh Warrington? He did the small halls. I've watched him box in a sports centre in Huddersfield not 12 months before he challenged Lee Selby. I know him through my brother who trained under his dad. I expected him to get his ears boxed off against Lee Selby. Proved me wrong. I thought I just got lucky, caught Lee Selby at the right time. There's no way he beats Carl Frampton. Carl Frampton will splatter him. Look what he did to Carl Frampton. He's continually proved people wrong. He's been stopped and come back. He's given the fans in Leeds and boxing fans in general some fantastic nights. I mean, no one brings a crowd like Josh Warrington. And I don't mean just in numbers. I'm talking about the noise and the raucous atmosphere that he brings. Yeah. He is, I think he's underappreciated by the boxing in general, I believe. And I don't believe they will appreciate him until 2 or 3 years down the line.
Yeah, he had no profile before he was signed by Matchroom. He had like 1 KO on his record or something like that. And like Lucas says, obviously it's up to him if he wants to fight on again. But the one thing I'm gutted about is that he never got that big MSG fight, or he never got a big Vegas fight, because it would have been chaos seeing the Leeds fans over in America.
But I don't. He didn't need it, did he?
He wanted it though. He wanted it.
Well, he said he did, but he got offered it and took the fight at home. So I know he's been offered fights, but the money was just as good to stay at home. So I think he just did the safe bet. But I would have loved to have seen him challenge someone someone like Santa Cruz or someone like that. Could you imagine if he fought Santa Cruz?
That would have been a cracking fight a few years ago, definitely.
That would have been an absolute humdinger of a fight. But I believe Josh Warrington will be heralded a greater fighter 2 or 3 years down the line when people start to appreciate what he actually did, the fights that he was in. Because have you ever watched? I think the fight we saw on Saturday was one of the poorest fights I've ever seen Josh Warrington in, and that was a good fight. But that was a good fight still, And I said that I thought he had more to give. I mean, my uncle, who's a mad Leeds fan, obviously had Josh winning that fight, and he's watched it again, and he still thinks Josh won it. I don't believe he did. I think you could give him a draw at best, and you're struggling there.
If you do that,
but I would have liked to have seen him do a pick somebody, fight him at Leeds, Leeds Arena, maybe not Ellen Road, but I would have liked to have seen him have one more, because I don't believe there were any shame in that loss there. Absolutely none. He pushed Anto, as far as he could physically, with him being considerably smaller than him, because let's be real, he's not a super featherweight. Josh Warrington is just about a featherweight. I believe that Josh Warrington 5-6 years ago could potentially, with the right strength and conditioning coach, he even boiled down to super bantam and being an absolute problem. But he's not a super featherweight. But I would like to see him get another fight. If not, bravo on your career. Thank you very much, Josh Warrington.
Yeah, I think for me, when you talk about Josh Warrington, obviously you mentioned the Ante Kakachi story. Let's go back on Josh Warrington. When he first takes over from Matchroom, he was still an assistant dental hygienist working in a practice, training part-time alongside that. He was still doing that, as far as I'm aware, 3 or 4 fights into his contract with Eddie. Remember, he was doing Wednesday and Thursday night shows at Leeds. He was still doing that then. So he obviously was a professional boxer, but it wasn't until he got close. Wasn't making the money. The Lee Selby fight, the fans that night at Ellen Road, it was Kaiser Chiefs playing in the corner, playing him in. He absolutely performed out of his skin that night. And that's no disrespect to him, because we think Lee Selby was considered one of Britain's greatest world champions at that time.
At the time, he was the man. He was,
he was the absolute man. He was boxing people's ears off for fun over 12 rounds. He wasn't getting stoppages, but it didn't matter because he had the skills to pay the bills, if that makes sense. Then he went into Carl Frampton, and I was the same as Jay. I thought he's going to get steamrolled here. Carl's going to be too experienced, have too much ring mouse and IQ, and he's going to put a lesson on Josh Warrington. How that script was torn up within 3 minutes of the fight. The unfortunate thing with Josh Warrington's career for me was the timing of COVID. And by that, I do think the American fights would have happened without COVID. I remember when he ended up fighting Maurizio Lara. Who was he meant to fight before that? He was meant to fight Kanzu, wasn't he? For the WBA belt as well.
Yes, he was. Yeah, you're right.
He may have lost to Kanzi, or he may have become the WBA and Ring Magazine champion as well. We'll never know how that would happen. But I do think without COVID, he would have got his time in Vegas or New York. He would have got unification fights. He's just unfortunately a product of you're peaking in your division at the right time, pandemic hits. And let's be honest, Kanzi was taken apart by Lee Woods, and I don't think he's fought again since. But you cannot not have nothing but respect for his career. He's come up from the small halls with Dennis Hobson, been with Frank, been with Eddie, been back to Frank, back to Eddie, 2-time IBF world champion. If he does fight again, I hope it's a home similar to what Anthony Corolla tried to do at the end of his career, and it nearly went wrong for him. Have a homecoming against
How dare you?
That was a close fight, Jay. Come on.
No, it wasn't. He won 12-0. Stop it. I will not hear anything negative said about my mate Anthony. But yeah, I know what you mean. I'm only pissing about. But yeah, it was a little shaky there.
Right, boys, let's give Warrington his flowers. Great career. Dan Evans has said that Addy acknowledged him before the press conference today. Big up Addy Oladipo. And Dan said that he met him at the fight last week, which is great. Good stuff, Dan. Right, let's move to Boatsi and Willie Hutchison. A bit of controversy around, a lot of controversy around this fight. One of the scorecards in particular scoring it 113 to 112 to Willie Hutchison, which is one of the most outrageous cards. That's up there with Taylor Catterall.
We cannot forget, we have to give props to the first professional blind referee, blind judge that's been allowed to sit ringside and listen to a fight, mark his scorecards and turn them in. Well done.
So Boatsi dropped Hutchison how many times in the fight?
Twice.
Dropped him twice. Point deduction.
Yeah.
So that's 3-10-8.
Scraped through by
3-10-8 and lost by a point on one of the judges' cards.
Didn't he lose? Was it a draw? Won it 113, 112, 114, 114, 115, 113 or something like that.
No, it wasn't like that. You're on about Josh Kelly. He won by like five rounds on one judge and then like 8 or 9 rounds on another judge.
Let's
so it
put
wasn't
it this way, right? I couldn't even add it up. I think I had it something like 100.
Yeah, it's a crazy fight.
110. But I think I missed the point deduction off. So I had it. He won it by 8 points, as far as I were concerned. And that was a roundabout right for me. But I don't know if anyone's going to disagree with me on that.
I said,
I'm just laughing. Sorry, Liam. Willie showed big balls, Dan reckons.
Oh, damn.
You child.
You caught that one right up.
You set me up there, Dan.
No, but I messaged you, didn't I, after the fight? And I said, Buatsi's won 10, 11 rounds here. And that was me being honest, watching in the arena. So I I headed up the stairs to go grab a beer. Got to the top of the stairs and I heard split decision. So I turned around and went, "What the fuck is this going to be about?"
Willie's face lit up, Liam. He was kind of like, "What? I've got a chance here."
Well, when they read the decision, because he was doing the pretend, just in case, and then he looked at Josh and he gave like a like you got it, but I nearly got it, but. He admitted defeat, basically. He knows he lost that fight. The world knows he lost that fight, other than the bloody judges.
Anyway, Luca, whilst I agree with this point here, even the rounds where the point was deducted and the knockdown rounds, they were clear Buatsi rounds. So it was
we're not saying that because the Buatsi won the rounds. We scored them. We actually scored them. And there were no 9-9 rounds in that fight.
If we're being honest, I said all week, I said on my show, I said every time we spoke that Buatsi is going to put manners on Willie Hutchinson and Willie's mouth is writing checks that his fists aren't going to be able to catch.
You did say that, yeah.
And that is exactly what played out in that ring. I turned to my missus 5 rounds in and said, this is how I thought this fight would go. And it's played out exactly that way. I will give Willie Hutchinson his flowers for getting up from them knockdowns.
Yeah, it wasn't his fault. He done well. He fought hard.
You have to now, Liam. You've just basically slagged him off. But go on.
Yeah.
I'm joking, Willie.
No disrespect, Willie.
Yeah, no, I haven't got that T-shirt yet, Jay, so I can't come out of that line. But no, it was
balls for that fight, Willie.
It was one of those fights where Willie stayed in it. I don't, definitely not, mate. Definitely not. It's one of those fights where Buatsi done what you expected Buatsi to do. And if you're going to be critical, and we have to be with Buatsi because of the level he came into the pro game.
His foot off the gas.
Again, same as what he done against Dan Aziz. He took his foot off the gas and he didn't go for the finish. And that's the only
first, Liam, do you reckon? Do you think he's worried about getting clipped towards end when he's got a little gas left?
I'm gonna.
Or do you think he really is tired?
I'm going to say it's one of two things for me. It's either safety first or he listens to his corner that much that he does exactly what they say. I'm not sure if anyone in the comments can tell me. Was Virgil Hunter telling him he's got the fight wrapped up to take it easy?
He never said much, Virgil Hunter. I mean, he never said much. I watched it back. I mean, he's a man of few words anyway, but he barely said anything to him. He just let Josh do what Josh does, which was box, look for little openings. Those body shots were lovely. Well placed.
Yeah, he didn't like him, did he, Willie?
Not. It took everything Willie had to get back up. You could see that I know body shots hurt. I have been hit with a couple myself. I nearly wet myself. So I know what it's like. It completely shuts your body down. I've been hit right on the solar plexus there, which the Buatsi ones were a little bit further down. But anywhere around that spot there, takes the wind out of you, takes your legs from underneath you. There's not a right lot you can do. Props to Willie for actually getting back up, because the second one I thought, nah, he's done.
Yeah, he looked physically done. I forgot about that, Dan. Miguel Vasquez and Ritz, and that was shocking. Remember that one? Jeez.
Up in Newcastle. But yeah, Willie came out to implement his game plan. I wonder if Willie expected that, how he managed the game plan he had in the Craig Richards fight. I wonder if he thought that would be enough to get him through this fight.
I think he did, because he's a switch hitter, isn't he? He's really fast, and he actually does it pretty hard. I think he underestimated the skill set of Buatsi. Buatsi defensively is real. If you watch him just defensively, he's up there for me. You can see the camp influence. He has got a similar look of, I'm not going to say he mirrors Andre Ward. That's not what I'm saying. But he has a similar kind of setup for his defense, the way that Andre Ward sets his hands up, and
everything comes from the hips.
There you go. So he's very, very. Do that again, Liam. Do that again. Stand up.
You get that one.
I didn't quite catch it. Stand up and show us again, Liam. He's doing his little fucking winding. But no, you can see where the camp is finally starting to pay off because he's coming out. He showed us something different on Saturday night. I'm just disappointed that I'm not going to say he didn't have the confidence in himself to step on the gas and because I think Willie was there for the taking, and I think Willie would be a big enough man to admit that if Buatsi had pushed him 8-9,
I'd have got him out of there.
He'd have got him out of there because Willie didn't have much left. But then you see a point in round 9 where Willie Hutchinson, it clicked when he thought, that's all he's got at this point. And then Willie because for me, Willie won, maybe a couple of the last few rounds. He did very well, and he was at one point cracking Josh, and I thought he'd hurt him. Looking back, I don't think he did. He did buzz him, didn't he? And I'm not, he
I don't think he's in trouble, but yeah.
It was buzz, definitely. But yeah, it was a good performance from Buatsi, but it just left me wanting more. Just left me wanting a little bit more. And I might be being hypercritical because he did what he said he was going to do. This man's not going to beat me. I will beat this man. He never said, Buatsi's very... he never commits, does he? He'll just say, look, thank God I'm going to get the win. That's all he ever says. Whereas Hutchinson said, I'm going to smash him to pieces. This man can't beat me. That
begs the question now. So he's WBO interim champion. Obviously, we saw the presser today for Better Be Evan Bibble. It's happening in a couple of weeks' time. Joshua Buatsi, what is going to be his next move? Because you've got to assume that these guys are tied up for 2 fights. From what I've been hearing, there's a rematch clause attached to Better Be Evan Bibble. Buatsi's not ready to be fighting those guys right now. In my opinion, he loses both fights quite comfortably. Who's next? For me, I know what fight I want to see. Whether you want to use who?
Cartley, Yard.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's the only fight. That's the only fight I want to see.
He's in a contractual dispute with Frank Warren.
I know, but how long? He's got 1 fight left with Queensberry. Just take the fight. Just fight and then just leave.
He wasn't even there on Saturday night. I assumed he'd be there. Wasn't there.
1 fight with Queensberry. Do it. Leave or buy yourself out your contract.
There you go. Just buy out of it. Because if Yard's not careful, he will freeze himself out and end up.
He already has, mate.
No, but what I mean,
he's doing it now.
Yeah, but the fact that we're talking about it as a fight, there's still potential for that fight there. It's still a big enough fight, certainly in London, right? That would sell out the Copper Box or the O2, I believe, on a decent card, right? But if Yard pisses about, him and Tunde, Lions in the camp and all that for the next 6 months, stringing us along, the promoters will just go, Frank Warren will say, fair enough, sit on the shelf. Frank's got a decent enough legal team, right, to tie him up in legal knots, give him a big thick file like that for his defence to go through and leave him sat on the shelf for 18 months. And then when he does come back, he's not the fighter he was.
He needs them more than they need him right now. That's the issue that
Anthony Yard, as much as he's got his Adidas sponsorship and whatever else sponsorship, that will dry up if you're not fighting.
He's in his prime, man. He's wasting his prime.
He's not Beckham. He's not Daley Thompson. You won't have that Adidas deal for life, mate. If you don't start knocking people out or at least having fights, it'll all start to dry up. It will all dry up. And we need that sorting. That fight has to be made. If that fight is not made, then for me, neither of them can say the best in Britain.
Yeah, 100%. You watch Yard will come back and he'll fight like Willie Hutchinson or something.
Here's the reality of the Buatsi and Yard situation. Buatsi beat Dan Aziz in February last year. In March last year, Anthony Yard had that fight where he knocked over a Binman, didn't he? Buatsi was there at ringside. They'd done an interview on TNT afterwards.
You have to say in person now, Liam.
In person, I apologise. That fight was there. That fight was there to be made, wasn't it? They as good as said, look, we're already in negotiations.
I thought it had been.
Yards then comes out 6 weeks later saying, I'm done with Queensberry. I'm not happy with the situation. And we haven't heard from him since. So this is what confuses me. That fight was meant to be happening last summer. Yeah, it would have been. Yeah. No, sorry, this summer. It was meant to happen this summer. But Yard throws himself out of it. And the biggest loser, actually, in all of this Turkey-Saudi money, from a British point of view, for me, is Anthony Yard.
Yeah, man.
That's what I'm saying. He'll end up getting frozen out, and then no one's going to want to deal with him. because what does he bring to the table? Without the Buatsi fight, and I'm going to be as respectfully disrespectful as possible, but what does Anthony Yarde bring to the table now? He's not an unbeaten prospect with an O.
Jay, do you know?
Dead. Sorry.
Yeah, do you know the thing about Yarde as well is like you can't even accuse him of like not being about it either because he went to Russia to fight Kovalev and he thought there to be he'll fight anyone, so it's not even anything to do with that, you know.
I just believe that he has made the wrong decision in going head to head with Frank Warren.
It's a shocking
because
decision.
whatever you think about Frank Warren, right? And my stance has always been pretty much the same, right? You can call him whatever Chris Eubank called him today and say he cheats people out of this and cheats. He's a boxing promoter, right? So his job is to put on the best possible fights for the least possible money and make the most profit for himself, right? And he's done that fairly successfully for 50 years or however long it is, right? To go head on with him is stupid because he's had umpteen court cases against him from fighters aggrieved about the contracts. And I'm yet to hear of anyone beating him in a court case. It just doesn't happen because he's got the legal. Also, he's been putting contracts together for over 40 years. The watertight.
That's nice first rodeo.
The best thing Anthony Yarde could do, right? And he probably won't do this. Is get his people to talk to their people and say, either make that fight or make me a fight. I will fight my last fight on my contract for my contractual amount of money that I agreed. I'm sorry, let's just do it.
Queensbury won't let him fight unless they're making a big fight and making big money off it as well.
Yes, but what I'm saying is he needs to start the wheels in motion because that fight will make them all a lot of money. All of them. It's a good fight. It's a fight we want to see.
Just moving on from Yarde quickly and going back to Buatsi, I'd be amiss if I didn't say this. I've seen both of Buatsi's fights live this year and I've come away with the same criticism. He hasn't put his foot down and finished two opponents that have been there to be finished.
Yeah.
Earlier in his career, when he won the Commonwealth belt and the British belt, and he won the Commonwealth belt again, he was spiteful and he finished those opponents off. He won all three of those fights by stoppage early in the fight because he had a spiteful edge to him. I love the defensive mouse that Virgil Hunter's added to him and all of that, but he needs to be spiteful because at the top end of this division, you need to have a killer edge, otherwise you're going to get taken out. You could be 10 rounds up, but still get taken out. He needs to go back to having that killer edge. He needs to go back to having that killer edge. And this is good from Jams.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is good from Jams.
Right. Well. You know, Jams is bang right. The problem is what he can't see, what's staring him slap bang in the face. Frank Warren's got him two big shots. Frank Warren's got him those shots. You know, I know he went to Russia and nobody wanted to go.
Frank's done an absolutely unbelievable job with Anthony Yarde. He's done an incredible job.
Listen, I don't know his personal situation, right? But from what it looks like, Frank Warren has made him a shit ton of money, right? He has been better paid than most of the light heavyweights on the domestic scene. He came through with hype, didn't he? Right? And he's lived up to that to a certain degree. You know, he's a concussive puncher. He's a bit raw still for me in terms of his technical.
His best wins Lyndon Arthur still, really.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
that's a good win. Lyndon Arthur's, touching on world class.
Yeah.
It's not a world level win though, is it really? Lyndon's below world level.
You said that, not me. He lives close.
I just think it is. I think he is below world level.
I daren't say it. He lives 45 minutes from me.
But Anthony could catch.
Yeah, that Lyndon
far from me, but
he has boxed at world level and come up short. I think Lyndon's sort of European level at this point in his career, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's Euro level, definitely. When you're going through, and the greatest respect to Liam Cameron as well, I hope he goes and beats Ben Whittaker, but when you're going life and death for Liam Cameron's not a world level fighter, even in my opinion. Doesn't mean he's not a good fighter, and
he only lives 20 minutes from me, so yeah.
Oh, we're getting close. I'm going to be in Jay's front living room soon.
before we get Jay beaten up or anything, bringing this back onto Yarde. Since he's fought and lost to Beterbiev in a fight that he was competitive in, he's had two blowouts. He's had he's won in 2 and 3 rounds. He's only had 2 fights since then. Regardless of this contractual situation, he is. What is he? He's 33 now. He's 33 years old. He's going through inactivity after inactivity. He just needs to fight. otherwise, by the time he does come back into the ring, he'll lose and he'll say, I spent too long out the ring, time caught up with me.
That's what I'm saying. I can see that playing out. I can see that playing out.
We can all see it coming. Come on, we can all see that coming. We know he won't fight till the back end of next year. He'll get beat. I had spent too long out of the ring because of my contractual situations with Frank Warren. It just wasn't my night too long. 18 months ago, different fight. Well, stop being too proud. Stop shouting lions in the camp in the mirror every single morning and get back to the table with Frank Warren before you ruin the opportunity to do anything with your career.
100%. Right, Boazzi then, we'll see what happens with him next. Hopefully it's Yard. Lions in the camp in the mirror for the time being for Yard, according to Liam Tully. Right, Hamza Shiraz, Tyler Denny. Very disappointing night for Tyler Denny, unfortunately. Got hit on the temple very early on in the fight, just never really recovered, did he? Bless him. Still big up Tyler Denny for taking the fight. You know, so good to see him on the big stage after fighting from the small halls and upwards, but this guy Hamza Shiraz, man, he is a problem. If his next fight's not for a world title, then something's wrong. For me, I'm going to say it. I don't care. He beats Janabek. He beats Adames. He beats every single one of them at 160. The man is a problem.
Yeah, mate, you are 100% right with what you've just said. And love Tyler Denny, love his story. But if we're realistic with the levels we thought these two guys were at, this is what we kind of hoped wouldn't happen, but expected to happen. And it played out. We expected it could be a short night's work for Hamza Shiraz, and that's how it played out. Unfortunately for Tyler Denny, I hope he comes back again and gets back to a decent level because he deserves it, the journey he's been on. But back to Hamza, you are right. He beats Janabek. He beats Adames. He is the best fighter at 160. The only thing that's going to catch up with him at 160 is how much longer his body can get down to the weight. He used to be 154, for goodness sake. I wonder what he walks around at. Now he's getting himself down to 160.
Weight draining.
Look what fight at 175 at some point. Hamza will.
Yeah, Bradley Skeet virtually beat him, didn't he?
Beat him at 154. Yeah. What will catch up with him? Yeah, what will catch up with him won't be fighters in this weight class, and I'll include Eubank Jr. in that. It will be him taking one training camp too long to get down to 160, and he can't perform in the night.
I think he'll win a belt, move straight up to 168.
He has to.
He has to, and he's playing his cards right. He's waiting for, like we said last week, he's waiting for Canelo to clear off because he knows when he goes to 168, he's a threat, but he doesn't want to get caught at the tail end of the Canelo legacy and go back to the bottom of the pecking order, so to speak.
What I said it on our post-fight sort of reaction show, and me and Liam have spoke about it as well. What impresses me about Hamza Shiraz is his accuracy with his shots, but how he works off minimal movement. So he moves just ever so slight, so there's no wasted movement from him. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why he hits so hard, because he's not wasting any cardio. When he was tucking up, because at one point Tyler Denny were unloading, and he was just tucking up. And I said to Sam on the live, I said, there's nowhere for Denny to go. There's no space. He don't leave any space. Subtle movement, bam, and he caught him just there, just enough, just enough, and that was it. The fight was done.
He's a left-handed orthodox as well, Hamza. So his your standard orthodox would be right-handed. So his left hand is a strong hand. So his jab, when it hits you, it feels a lot harder than your standard orthodox jab, Hamza. So he's got that going for him as well.
He's got everything.
It's his shot selection as well. He can pick shots in a way that we see only at the top level of boxing. And you could say we're getting carried away with Hamza Shiraz here. We haven't seen him in against the world beater yet. But let's be really honest on what we've seen throughout his career, and we saw again on Saturday night. He has some of the best shot selection of a world level fighter, and he's going to be a world champion. The fact that Eubank Jr. outside Wembley said, "Yeah, I turned down $5 million to fight Hamza Shiraz." Imagine how much bigger the fight's going to be in 2 years. Yeah, no, mate, you absolutely cacked yourself because you've seen what this lad can do. And you got knocked out by Liam Smith, who, no disrespect to Liam Smith, is not as strong or as hard a hitter as Hamza Shiraz. Hamza Shiraz would turn him into a meme. He would be a meme if Hamza Shiraz got on with him. I would absolutely love it.
Eubank Jr., Hamza, it wouldn't be close. As Dan said, it would be absolutely brutal. He's Britain's next multi-weight world champion. Completely agree with that. Big up Wayne Herman for joining us, my man. Could be in
I disagree.
Definitely.
I just want to disagree with that. Caroline Dubois will be Britain's next multi-weight world champion.
Yes.
I think she'll do it before he does it. She'll do this belt, and then bam, she's on. Because she'll go. Once she gets going, she will fly. So I'm putting it out there by this time next year, 2025, Caroline Dubois will be a 2-division world champion. Whether she still holds them belts, I don't know, but I believe she will have challenged for more than one belt in more than one weight division.
Yeah.
Whilst we're on the subject to Caroline Dubois, she will do that by leaving Boxer as well. She can't afford to get caught up in Boxer only doing Riyadh season or massive shows. She needs to put her career first. Yeah, I think she moves to Frank. I think she'll be a Queensberry fighter by 2025.
Well, yeah, exactly. Brothers with them, so easy.
She got many fights left on that deal. I don't know.
God knows.
No one, mate. It's not something anyone knows. But look, she can't allow her career to become stagnated just because Ben wants to chase and be involved only in the biggest fights.
No, she can't
allow it to happen. And she's with the McGuigans. The McGuigans won't allow it to happen to her either. We know what their dealings are like. She will look after herself, and I believe she'll be with Queensberry by this time next year.
Yeah.
Boys, I think we'll leave it there for the Riyadh season, Wembley. Then we've covered the rest of the undercard. Our favourite part of the show, we'll go into it now. We will preview this week's fighting a little bit later, but I think, go on, Liam.
Josh Kelly. We haven't spoken about Josh Kelly.
We haven't spoken about Josh Kelly. Yeah, we'll cover Ish and Josh Kelly really quickly. Yeah, sorry.
We just missed out.
There's not too much to cover from it, really, was there? Josh Kelly outboxed him for the most of it. Ish got him in the last round, didn't he, Jay? He blooded him up a little bit.
Last couple of rounds, I think I gave Ishmael the last couple of rounds. I think Ishmael just didn't have a lot of gas, and I think he held off going out full bore because I think he was conscious that he didn't have a full camp behind him. I think that fight would have been different if he'd have had a full camp training for Josh Kelly. I believe if Liam Smith would have been there on Saturday night, Josh Kelly Josh Kelly's not world level. Right?
Bad cards again, wasn't it? The cards were awful.
Yeah, awful cards again.
It wasn't as close as they gave it. You know, I like Ishmael and I picked him to win and I backed him to win. And he just come up short. Josh Kelly had faster hands, better movement, and Ishmael Davis didn't look like until he could see the finish line and he knew what he had left in the tank and he put it on Josh. I believe if he'd have done that 2 or 3 rounds earlier, we would have got a really different ending to that fight. He could have potentially stopped Josh Kelly. Josh Kelly does not like it when he's going backwards, and that cut bothered him.
Oh, yeah, if that cut would have happened 2 or 3 rounds earlier.
Yeah, as soon as he saw claret on his glove, his head was elsewhere. And he did a lot of holding and spoiling.
Yeah. Look, I scored it 9 rounds to 3 being at Wembley on Saturday night to you, Josh Kelly. Agree with everything you just said. If Ish had a longer training camp, he would have trusted his gas tank to put his foot down earlier. It looked like Ishmael was worried in the first 9 rounds of the fight that if he went too early, he was going to completely gas out and then he'd be stopped.
Yeah.
And that probably does come with the fact that, okay, he was in a training camp, but his cardio probably wasn't at that level yet because he knew he had to get down to 154. So they were saving themselves this last month for training camp. I do agree with you. If Liam Smith was in that ring on Saturday night, Liam Smith absolutely dismantled Josh Kelly. Not a close fight for me.
Josh
Kelly.
Sorry, go on.
Josh Kelly just. Yeah, that's all I feel about him now.
He's world class on the pads. Do you know what it is for me? If you can trap Josh Kelly, you can stop him. But it's getting hold of him, keeping him there because his footwork's amazing and his movement's immense. But if you catch him and trap him, he falls to pieces, mate.
The more you know, even though he's flashy, I just don't think he's very watchable. Like, I'll be the first to admit, I was watching the fight, but, you know, I was on Twitter on my phone, loads through it and stuff like that.
Every round's exactly the same. He does the same stuff. Pop, 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 and then walks off.
Yep.
Back, pop, 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 tries the uppercut.
Just soaking the atmosphere out of the crowd. I know there wasn't many people in Wembley at that time, but, like, you know, it's just one of them.
Do you know what? Do you know when you see him shadowboxing and hitting the bag and on the pads? Wow,
he looks beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
The movement he's got is, it's beautiful to watch. He just doesn't put it together on fight night. Well, I say it doesn't. I don't think he can. I don't think he can fight like that.
Dan, I would agree with this. His fight being in the stadium on Saturday, it was the one I struggled to get through the most. Let's make a comparison here. Josh Kelly fought a 160 on Saturday night. Hamza Shiraz is a 160. I don't believe Josh stays at 160. He needs to get back down to 154. But let's just compare those two fights at 160 on Saturday night. Hamza Shiraz would absolutely obliterate Josh Kelly for me. He needs to get back down to 154. He only came up to 160, if we're being honest, because it was the name of Liam Smith. That's, if we're being honest, that's the only thing that pulled him up to 160. He's a natural 147. He was less than 147 when he was an amateur. 154 is where he needs to go back down to. And if he has any chance of making a run at world titles, that's the division to do.
Him and Booth took the fight with Smith on the back of him being finished.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they wanted his name. They wanted his name.
Yeah.
They wanted the name. But if he stays at 160, he's there with some real killers, and Josh Kelly does not have the power or the strength to keep them killers off. He's not winning a world title at
160. I'll say that now confidently.
I don't think
he's got more chance. He's
got
more chance at 154. He's got more chance at 154, but I don't give him much of a chance down there either.
You know what, Liam? It evens itself out because 154 is way more stacked than 160. You got Crawford, you know. Spencer's fighting Fundora in January, they reckon now. You know, Virgil Ortiz, Boachuk. These Josh Kelly couldn't beat those guys, in my opinion.
No chance.
No. He's got no chance, but he'll move back down to 154 because it's where the glamour and the money is. And he probably will be told by Adam Booth and convince himself he's got less chance of being obliterated than if he goes in, even with Hamza Shiraz, for goodness sake.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's the reality there. That was a 165 because they wanted the name, or they finished Liam Smith.
Yeah, and
maybe still make the Liam Smith fight, but I don't think he would beat Liam Smith.
No, I don't, and I'm not. And I just want to put this out there: I'm not being dismissive of Josh Kelly's skill set because we've just, I've just bigged him up and said it's beautiful to watch. What I'm dismissive of, probably dismissive is the wrong word, is Josh Kelly's ability to fight. Now, he put a social media post out about, because Ishmael Davis said you haven't got the dog in you.
Yeah.
And he's now saying he's got the dog in him. No, having the dog in you is standing there and having a scrap, right? And I know it's about hit and don't get hit and all that. That's great. That gets you so far. But people want to watch a fight as well. And if he was a concussive puncher that could do the razzle-dazzle and flatline people, we would watch it. But people don't want to see you pitter-patter, do the alley shuffle, and then run around for the rest of the... That's not what we want to see. We want to see scraps. And I don't believe Josh Kelly can fight. He's a great boxer, but I just don't believe he can fight. I mean, but I don't get paid to fight.
Yeah, I would go and watch Josh Kelly in the gym because I believe that would be beautiful to see the way he works the pads with Adam Booth, the way he hits a heavy bag, and probably his spars are fantastic, but it doesn't translate to under the lights for being an exciting fighter. I'm sure he's one of the most technical boxers that this country has ever produced, but that doesn't get him to the level that he needs to be at to be a world champion, especially when you look at how stacked 154, 160 are at this point. That's the honest assessment.
Can I just say one thing? Sorry. At this point, I don't believe Josh Kelly beats the likes of at 160 Nathan Heaney, for example. I think Nathan Heaney would beat him. I think Brad Pauls would beat him. I think Tyler Denny would beat him. I think any of them.
Some good fights you've listed there, actually, Jay. I'd be interested in seeing a couple of them.
But I don't believe it's his division. I just think he's too short. I don't think he hits hard enough at 160. I mean, I don't really think he hits hard enough at 154.
Anyway.
But he's not doing 147, is he?
Nah,
he's not doing 147. But yeah,
it'd be interesting to see what direction that they want to go next with PBK for sure. But we'll leave it there for Wembley then, boys. That's nearly 50 minutes on that. Let's get into some news. We're going to start. Obviously, we'll preview a couple of the upcoming fights. You got Family Feud Friday, Baumgartner against Pursoon, Meyer against Sandy Ryan, and obviously Harper, Rihanna Dixon on Saturday. The GBM cards on Friday as well. But I want to go to what happened today. There's some huge talking points here from the Better Be Evan Bivol press conference. As always, Turkey always delivers before no punch is pulled. He always gives us something before the show. We went Tuesday. We haven't been on Wednesday for a few weeks now, but we went Wednesday tonight. Obviously, off the back of Bivol and Better Be Evan press conference. Not too many talking points from the main event, but they don't need any. The talking points are already there for them. But Mr. Chris Eubank Jr. had a few choice words for one Frank Warren, one Eddie Hearner, one Frank Smith, and one Kalle Sauerland. Jay, we'll be careful with what we say here. We're not going to implicate
Uncle Frank, please don't hit me with a libel because this is just satire. Chris Eubank Jr., what do we say? So he was pissed off at having to sit on the front row. It was apparent, right? Because Chris Eubank is a boy. He's the man, right? He's a Eubank. Anyway, Ade Oladipo came to him, you know, as he did with everybody on the tables, and asked him a question, and he went on a 2-minute 30-second rant about.
It was an epic rant, to be fair.
Yeah.
I'm not a massive Chris Eubank Jr. fan, but it was an epic rant.
I've watched it 3 times on the journey home because it was, So Frank Warren sat direct. So I'm Eubank Jr. Frank Warren is Sam, and Eddie Earn is a bit further on from where Liam is. But basically, he goes on a 2.5-minute rant about, and I'm paraphrasing here, Frank, before you hit me with a libel case. He called Frank Warren a scumbag. He said Frank Warren's he spent the last 40 years ripping people off and sued him for a couple of $100,000, so he's never going to go back. That was it. The question was, what made you choose boxer? And he said, all the other promoters are scumbags. Went on a rant about Frank Warren ripping people off for 40 years and sued him for a couple of $100,000. Eddie Earn and Frank Smith are scumbags. He said scumbags because they tried to force him to fight Conor Benn, who they know is a drug cheat. He said that Nick Keller, the Sauerland brothers are scumbags. Have had him tied up in a contract for 2 years.
Slave contracts. Slave contracts.
The one that he signed.
Yeah.
Because no one else will offer him a contract.
But why didn't you read the anti-slavery clause? You have to read an anti-slavery clause or you're a moron. You know what I mean? You're a moron. You sign a contract without having the people read through it. You're an idiot, so don't cry about it. That's like me moaning that I don't get paid enough. I signed a contract. I know what I get paid. He then said, the only promoter that's not a scumbag is, and he made sure he said, His Excellency. His
Excellency.
Oh, yeah. His Excellency. I like that. Get that in.
But then remembered that he'd effed up and he went, oh, yeah, Ben Shalom's a cool guy too.
yeah. He forgot about Ben.
Ben. Ben was like, what about me?
Did either of you see the really awkward sort of man hug him and Ben Shalom had after the face-off? Eubank was vibing to the music.
Yeah. Big up Rob Brown for joining us. Yeah, he wasn't mucking about.
Look, my take on it is quite funny. So Eubank Jr. is trying to become Mr. Relevant again. Remember, he's done an announcement on Sky Sports back last month, and he's very keen to stress this is a partnership. It's not a promotional deal with Boxer, it's a partnership, whatever the heck that means. And he's not officially been represented by Frank Warren before, but he's done fights with Frank Warren fighters multiple times. He's been with Matchroom. He's been with Sauerlands. He's been with Mick Hennessy. He's been out by himself. He's now with Boxer. The common denominator in all these things is, what does everyone say after they've worked with Eubank Jr.?
Hard work.
He is impossible. He is hard work. So look, he's gone on a rant today and he's made Christmas dinner at Eubank House really awkward for Frank Smith when he's sitting there with Eubank's sister, hasn't he?
I always forget that's his brother-in-law.
So that's first of all, I want camera access to Christmas Day at the Eubanks just to see how that comes down. But secondly, he's trying to make himself relevant again. This is all the stuff Eubank.
Never marketing. He's got a viral moment. He's good at that. You can't say he's not.
But Eubank Jr. normally does this on social media behind the keypad in 4 or 5 tweet exchanges. Instead, he's decided to do it when the blokes are sitting behind him.
But sorry to cut you, right?
Go on, mate.
Someone's just said about him having the balls to do it. I don't get that. He didn't take balls at all. None of them want to work with him anymore. They've all stated that they don't want to work with him unless they have to. So it don't take balls because you're not losing anything. You're with the only promoter that would offer you anything. Nobody else wanted to deal with you, pal. You're hard work, right? You're hard work. You always have been. You're hard graft. So to say that, he's done this.
Eddie and Matchroom are trying to work with it. They're trying to keep him on side because they want that Ben money.
Yeah, they do, but he's not going to. But he's not going to say no, is he, Sam? He's not going to go, well, no, I think you're a scumbag, so I'm not going to take the money that you're going to give me to fight somebody that's 2 weight divisions below me. That fight will make itself. They don't need to talk. Frank Warren's the best at it. Frank Warren's done fights for people that he can't stand, he didn't want to deal with.
Frank's not emotional normally. He got emotional tonight, but he doesn't do business emotionally.
But I tell you what, though, Chris Eubank, watch yourself, because Frank Warren was on TalkSport by 4:30, and he said the lawyers are on it.
He was after Andy Goldstein. Did you see it? He was after Andy Goldstein too.
He's on tomorrow morning at 10:30 with Simon Jordan.
Oh, cannot wait to watch that.
But hey, let's get on to the biggest Eubank Jr. news. As fantastic as it is that he's come out and he's given himself a viral moment today, can we get a drum roll for the title he is fighting for out in Saudi in 3 weeks' time? He is fighting for the IBO Middleweight World Championship.
Is he on a retainer with them?
He promises to wear them at nightclub appearances and when he's sitting on poker tables. So just keep
sure
he's bidding to become a 2-weight IBO world champion.
2-weight 3-time IBO world champion is what this is about.
Absolutely awesome.
You can, guys, like, contain your excitement, please. I know it's the biggest fight of the year. This is, I know.
Jeez.
He's like, as much as I'm sorry, Liam, I'm not a Eubank fan. I never have been.
No, I'm not either.
But you know, he's got us talking. He's achieved exactly what he wanted to achieve out of that today. Yeah, he's going to get hit with a lawsuit by Frank Warren. He's probably going to have to pay another couple $100,000 or whatever it is. But he doesn't care. Like, he's there for the viral moments. He's building his brand. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to achieve exactly what he achieved today. He posted the video out himself. He clearly isn't fearful of what's coming his way from Warren or whatever. Or
I mean, his dad was like that. His dad didn't suffer fools gladly. You two don't remember his dad first time round, you young whippersnappers, but I do. I remember, right, going to the bus station on my way to school, and it was about a week before Eubank Ben, the first, the original fight. And I remember lads that weren't into boxing saying, "What? Did you see that Chris Eubank guy on Good Morning Britain this morning?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Wow, he said this, he said that, he speaks like this, he speaks like that." And it created this buzz. Chris Eubank Sr. is one of the greatest British boxers of his generation. He has to be heralded as one of the greatest champions ever. Off the back of what? Clever marketing. Chris Eubank Sr. does not speak like he's been born with a silver spoon. I've actually met him backstage and the facade slipped just for a split second. And he spoke to me in his normal voice, which is nothing like the monocle-wearing, jumper sheriff's badge. But he's kept everybody in Great Britain and some parts of the world engrossed for nearly 30 years. He's still relevant to this day. If I see a photograph on social media of Chris Eubank Sr., I'm stopping and seeing what it's about, because I know he's either done some at Crackers or is involved in boxing some way, shape or form. And his son has taken the dad's name. He had his dad involved. He got the momentum, and now he's run with it. And Chris Eubank Jr. is very clever at marketing himself, and he's done that today. He's got himself a couple of $100,000 worth of free promotion that will probably end up costing him a couple of $100,000. You couldn't buy X content like that. Liam's just done a marketing degree. You couldn't do content like that, could you, Liam? That would get the kind of traction that's going to get. We're talking about it now, not 3-4 hours after.
Yeah, like Dan said, you can't deny it. He is box office. That's why he gets put on all the big cards all the time.
Let's be really honest about Eubank Jr. He will, regardless of the facade he puts on, he will have heard the talk from fans and boxing people about this comeback, about this fight that's been announced. Dan said here, he's booed by 96K at Wembley on Saturday night. He played it off perfectly, missed the call, just walked in, smiled. But it's clearly having some sort of effects on him because he's done this today. He knows he needs to generate some publicity that isn't about the substandard opponent and the IBO World Championship. All respect to the IBO, we are open for sponsorship. He needs to do something for himself, doesn't he? So he's had to do this today because now, even on fight week, we'll talk about his opponent a little bit, but what will we mainly talk about? How are Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren going to be with Eubank Jr. this week? Is he going to, is he going to get another opportunity on these shows?
After the narrative now,
we're not going to talk about the opponents, but he's probably realised he's had to do that because of all the negative attention on this comeback. He probably thought, I'm moving to boxer. Everyone's going to be so excited for the next generation. You're 34 years old. You're not the next generation anymore. Your generation is arguably... It's true, though.
I'm going to finish, Liam, but I'm going to put a spanner in the works. Sorry, go on.
His generation is arguably, he's already past his best. What he's doing now is trying to get the legacy and world titles that he believes he deserves that he's never been able to get. That's where I think he's at now. Go on, Joe. Throw a spanner in it.
As I love throwing my spanners in, I think Chris Eubank Jr. is really going to struggle, and I wouldn't be surprised if he loses
this fight.
Sarah Met is a better opponent than people are giving him credit for. To be fair,
yeah, he is. Who's he being stopped by? He's being stopped
Munguia and Golovkin. Me and Liam were talking about it before.
Two ferocious punchers. Chris Eubank Jr. has as many highlight reel knockouts as he's got. I'm telling you now, he is not a ferocious puncher. He's a volume puncher. There's a big difference. And if he's not careful, could come unstuck. Because this kid is decent.
He is, yeah. We've got Derry Pennant joining us. Thank you. Moses Atama versus Pulev will be a good test. Yeah, probably will, to be fair.
Can I just I've made notes on Itoma because I knew you were going to mention him. I would like to see him fight. No, Google. I would like to see Richard Torres Jr.
Oh,
yes.
He fought. Yes. He fought on the Munguia card. He fought on the Munguia card.
He fought more, didn't he? And they boxed. I'll tell you, we boxed on the.
Derry doesn't want to see the Joshua Dubois rematch yet. I think we will see it, but I'm not overly huge on it.
The Wedco he fought on the.
Yes. It was a weird fight. He kind of got quit almost.
But I'd like to see that.
Yeah, going back to what you just said about Junior, mate, I don't tend to disagree with you. Look, everyone's saying, and he's saying himself, that he's going to come through this fight easily. But Eubank Jr. in recent times beat Liam Smith, but that was 12 months ago already. So he'll be 13 months out of the ring by the time he gets in. Was stopped before that, and he was reasonably inactive when he was with Sauerlands. Now, that he'll say is to do with the type of contract he was in, and they were just taking money off of him.
But he's
30. Yeah, you're 34 years old. You've been inactive. If you are taking this opponent lightly, then he probably could lose. And look, he's moved trainer again. He's not staying with Bomac after the best win of his career. He's moved over to Jonathan Banks, who's obviously known for training Klitschko after Manny Stewart passed away. He was with Dillian White, was with Golovkin at the end of his career. So he's moved again. It's just... we're giving Eubank what he wants by talking about him, but the reality is we always talk about Eubank for his activities. We talk about his chaos outside the ring or him not delivering in the ring. When was the last time you could talk about a Eubank Jr. fight against an established opponent where he actually delivered? Okay, Liam Smith in his last fight, before that comes into the comment. And yeah, Liam Smith was injured in the rematch, so that probably did level it out for him. But every other time he stepped up against fighters who are genuine world level, he's fallen short. So what's he actually achieved in his career? He's made a load of money off the back of what he's done.
No, nothing.
But what's he actually done? Who are you going to remember more?
That's all he cares about, though. He doesn't care about legacy or anything like that. I'm with Dan here, by the way. Turkey's been meeting with the Bens this week and everything. He's gonna fight. That fight will happen on a Riyadh season, either in Riyadh or at Wembley, as Dan said. That fight is close to being. I think Eubank gets through Seremeta on October the 12th, then you will see that fight made. I think all the noises that are coming out is that we're going to get Eubank Ben. Definitely.
And it will be made. And the reason it will be made in Saudi, obviously, because Ben doesn't have a British license. We don't know if and when he'll get a British license again.
He's probably serving a silent ban.
Do you reckon?
What's confusing?
What's going on with him?
Why have the border control said they're still going?
Whatever it's called.
The border control still said they're going through a process, though, haven't they? If he was shadow banned, okay, they wouldn't come out and say it, but they would at least stay silent instead of saying they're still following process. Surely.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like what's got out? Yeah. How long can it go on for? I agree with Wayne here. Money's all he's interested in. Anyway, we'll see what happens on TalkSport tomorrow. Then when Frank and Simon Jordan and Jim White go at it. But enough about Eubank Jr. Let's just gloss over a little bit of Beterbiev versus Bivol. We're two and a half weeks out now from, for me, the best fight in boxing right now, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no other fight to rival it. I mean, I think the injury to Beterbiev has made this fight even bigger than it was before, just with the anticipation. And we've had to wait a little bit longer. I always said I didn't think it was going to happen. I'm getting to the stage now where I believe it probably is going to happen. Have you seen the promo? I shared a promo.
Yeah, fantastic.
I thought that Dubois Joshua promo were good. You know, the Sweet Caroline promo.
Yeah,
they did.
yeah.
This tops that for me. I mean, I love Vikings. That's probably my favorite TV series, and it was very Vikings-esque, sort of. You know, two tribes sort of battling it out for the king of the hill. Yeah, that fight can't fail to deliver. I don't care if one of them gets chinned in first round. I'll still be happy. You know, I just want to see him step through the ropes for the first belt. I'm super excited.
It's long overdue, isn't it? The injury layoff has obviously heightened the anticipation. We got obviously to the first press conference. We knew it was going to be the headline after the 5v5 in June. Fell off a month before the fight, and now here we are in 25th of September. We're 2 weekends away this weekend from this fight finally happening. And what's so intriguing about it is you can change your mind. I know Sam has got splinters like you wouldn't believe, keeping changing his mind.
I've fully made my decision now, and I will not retract my statement now. My prediction is out there. I am not changing my prediction from here on out. I'm sticking with it.
Fair enough.
So, Beterbiev stops Dimitri Bivol in the later rounds.
Stop it, man.
Beterbiev by late stoppage.
If anyone's getting stopped,
Dan Evans, back me up. I know you're not on the screen, these two are, but Dan Evans is with me, so...
No chance. Bivol wins that fight all day for me.
Yeah, and Bivol,
Wayne's excited.
Bivol will put him in knots, I think. And if, as we've said before, the type of injury he's had, he's not giving himself enough recovery time for me. And I do wonder if his body's going to get through the fight as well. That's the other thing with Beterbiev. With his age, is his body going to allow him to get through a grueling high-level fight?
He's only showing comments that are agreeing with him, you know.
There's no Bivol comments. There's no Bivol comments in it. Rod thinks Beterbiev by KO. Wardley versus Clark should be great too.
Oh, that can't not be, surely. Not after the first one. I mean,
that's round 13. That's round 13. Yeah. You going to pull any more comments up, Sam, or are you good?
Yeah. Okay. right, cheers, Pat. Bivol will take this on a UD, no doubt. Do you know what? Honestly, the way I see it, Bivol could be 7-2 up through 9. And
still get clipped.
I think why I think Beterbiev will win, and I'm banking on the fact that he's going to be fully fit. I know that's a huge variable, but 36 minutes in a ring with Artur Beterbiev without getting hit square on your chin is a long time. And I know Bivol is different to Anthony Yard and Callum Smith, so on and so forth, that Beterbiev's fought recently. But, you know, you can't ignore the fact the guy's 20-0 and 20 KOs, man. Like,
you've got to find that chin first, though.
Yeah, but he can box as well, though, Beterbiev, I'm telling you.
I know that, but I just believe Bivol's a better boxer than him.
There's no disputing that.
Fellas in the chat.
Well done. I agree with that comment there, mate. I agree with that. Thanks, Jay.
There's no
like, comment, share, and subscribe, kid.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it, and it's similar to the whole Deontay Wilder thing. You need to be perfect against Wilder for 36 minutes. He only needs one punch. But the difference is when you put him in there against the mover, I'm not doing my hip movements again, Jay, don't worry. When you put him in there against the mover who can paint pictures for him that doesn't just come forward in straight lines, then what's he going to do? Bivol is one of the most technically outstanding boxers in world boxing at the moment.
Yeah.
If he challenges Beterbiev and says, right, let's move him around, let's test this knee in the first 3-4 rounds. If Beterbiev, A, doesn't fully trust his knee, B, hasn't fully recovered, or C, his knee actually goes again in that ring, then he's got absolutely no chance because all his power comes through his legs and he's not going to be able to find that one big howitzer of a punch if he can't generate anything through his legs, is he?
No, I agree. I think he's coming back too quick. I mean, you know, it's a serious injury that, you know, footballers get a similar kind of injury. They're out 9 months. I think Rodri's just done a very similar injury. They're talking about him missing the rest of the season. It's just started.
I've had my meniscus torn before and had surgery on it 6 years ago now, and it took me 7 months to get back to jogging and then to get back into playing sport at the time. You can't compare, right? I'm not comparing them. You know, you boys know what I meant there.
Yeah, he was talking about the fact that you've got to be mind your P's and Q's for 12 rounds because Wilder can be 11 and a half rounds down and flatline.
On the basis of that, that's where my Beterbiev pick comes from, though, in fairness. It's like, yeah, I get your sentiment with the Deontay Wilder statement, but Beterbiev can box as well, so he will find Bivol's chin at some point in the fight. In my opinion, he will. And let's see how Bivol reacts. Bivol's chin might be incredible. He might be able to take.
He'll spit out his teeth, wipe the blood off his lip, and smash Artur Beterbiev to bits. Watch. You've doubted me before. You've doubted me before.
I'm with Jay. Dan. I didn't take any offense, mate. My point more. This is Dan. I took no offense, brother. Don't worry.
No, we don't take offense on here, man. It's all fun.
Nah, we don't. My point more was that is the rhetoric. Right. That's the rhetoric. I just hit my leg. The rhetoric is with Bivol, and as it was with Wilder before he became gun shy and couldn't throw his right hand, that he just needed to land one punch. And this is kind of Sam's argument as well, isn't it? Bivol could be 11 rounds up. Beterbiev lands one right hand with 10 seconds left in the fight. He could flatline him and end it. But
who's favourite in the fight, Liam? Who's genuinely like the? Because I see more Bivol picks than I do Beterbiev.
No, it's like
online.
There's more 6-4 on, I think.
But for me, there's more Bivol picks because people are questioning Beterbiev because of his injury. The reality is it's a 50-50 fight. I don't think
it is a 50-50 fight. Yeah, 1,000,000% it is.
Look, it's a lot of people are favouring Bivol more than Beterbiev because of the injury Beterbiev's had. I would say I was in the camp of Bivol before the injury that postponed the fight in June. I would had him as my favourite then. Wasn't on YouTube, so there's no receipts of it anywhere. But I'm
Bivol.
There is now. And on Spotify.
As it stands at the moment, Bivol is a slight favourite.
Yeah, so I would expect Bivol to be a slight favourite. Yeah. Nothing much, but just a slight favourite. I would expect.
Yeah.
But anyway, like regardless of who anyone thinks is gonna win, what a fantastic fight it's gonna be, and credit to both men for getting it on. We're gonna have an undisputed champion at 175 pounds.
It's a fantastic fight. Credit to both men. Credit to Top Rank for allowing Beterbiev to come across. Credit to Matchroom for getting it on. It's an absolutely fantastic fight. And Beterbiev is a boxer, but he hasn't gone away from that so much. Mark Ramsey has programmed him in such a way where he's setting everything up for power shots now. He's not looking to put on a 12-round clinic anymore. He's moved so far away from that amateur style now that I don't know if he's going to be able to go back in time to recreate it for one night.
Just before we move away from this card, I just want to touch on Dan's comment earlier. Wardley Clark, we nearly got into it, round 13, as you just said a minute ago. Winner's going to be right in that kind of Riyadh season heavyweight mix as well. I say that, you like to Parker, Cabiels and all them.
We're going to get another draw.
Well, that's true. You really could.
No, honestly, I do. I just think that evenly matched. We're going to see something very similar to last time, and they're going to do another draw. I've just got a weird feeling.
I think Fraser might win this one,
He should do. I thought he won the last one, mate. I thought
it was close. It was, like the draw was fair, I thought, to be fair. But...
But, if I had to give it to either of them, I would have gone with Fraser Clark.
I will stick
Fabio by stoppage.
I will stick with what I said to you boys when this fight was first announced. I think Fabio finishes them this time. I think Fabio gets stoppage in the second half of the fight.
Stop it. Take your blue shirt. Take your blue
I
hate your football team. They knocked Bradford City.
I know you do. You've told
1989, and I am never going to forgive them and Middlesbrough. You can both piss off. Anyway.
Look, it's a fantastic...
at all, and I don't hold judges for 40 years.
Not so. It is going to be round 13. There's no way they can't pick up from where they finish back in March.
It'll go off straight away. Boom.
I will.
A million miles an hour.
I'll say this, Jay. If the scar tissue on Wardley's nose, if that opens up again early in the fight, Clark knows now how much that bothers Fabio, how much it struggles and affects his breathing. He will push the tempo earlier. And if that happens, then I agree with you. Then it's Fraser Clark's fight to win. However, if that scar tissue doesn't open up again and Fabio is able to get into his rhythm, get into his boxing, look to land his shots, I do wonder how Fraser Clark replies to it. That broken nose and the issues Fabio had with it was a massive leveler in that first fight. I'm not saying if Fabio's nose wasn't broken, he would have won the fight. No, it probably still would have been as competitive a fight. Yeah. But the nose was a massive factor in the fight. It made Fraser go like that, and it made Fabio go like that for a few rounds, and it took a few rounds for them to readdress the balance.
No,
yeah,
I
Lucas saying it here that Fabio says his nose doesn't affect him at all. He's talking rubbish because once you've got the scar tissue there. Nah.
Yeah, he's not going to admit that, is it? But I'm pretty sure I saw an interview in camp and he had a cut on it already in camp. I've seen an interview where someone's asked him about his nose. And he said, "Oh, it's just a little nick." So I'm fully expecting that. I've had nasal surgery. I haven't had plastic surgery, but the skin on your nose, the bridge of your nose, is really thin, terribly hard to operate on. So I don't believe the plastic surgeon can do much. So I believe that will open up at some point in that fight.
Yeah. And it's the extent it opens up.
Natural, that frotches.
The extent of how badly it opens up will be a factor in this fight, if that makes sense. Fabio, there's an argument Fabio gassed late in the fight last time. There's also a case to be made for Fraser Clark held something back because that's his first time he'd been in a 12-round attritional war. He probably didn't know how his gas tank would cope over 12 rounds, if that makes sense.
He knows now.
It wouldn't surprise me. Now, I'm not saying he held back enough to make a massive difference and we're going to see a completely different fight, but I don't think he'll go in there with the shackles still on. He'll be fully believing in himself.
Yeah, he's got the experience now, Liam. He didn't have the experience as a pro. Definitely not. Long, drawn-out amateur career, but very successful.
Too long amateur career for different reasons. Well.
Yeah, but Fabio's nose is definitely causing him all sorts of issues, and maybe Fraser could have pressed on the gas a little bit more. But like you say, I think he did hold something back for sure.
Look, it's one of those. It's one of those fights where if you watch it 20 times, I reckon you're getting 10 wins apiece for both men. They seem that evenly matched, don't they? But it's going to be a cracking fight. And look, bring a dampener on it. But I have to say it, British and Commonwealth titles should only be fought in the UK. Yeah. We should not be seeing this fight in Saudi. I don't care how much money is on it. They should not be allowed to happen outside of the UK.
Uncle Turkey, I didn't say that. I still want a job.
You might get the Saudi national anthem for all British title fights moving forward.
I'll stand up for that, bitch. Let me tell you. Hand on the opposite side of my chest, even though it's meant to be that one. And I will wrap my head up and I will be, I'll do anything for money. So, no, I agree. British titles should be fought on British Isles, I believe. That's the whole point of it. But
Wardley Adelaide was in Saudi too for the British title.
But I will. So obviously that was meant to be for the British title. The British Border Control did not put their belt up for that fight until 2 weeks before, when the money from Uncle Turkey had been promised. Look how much money we'll give you for letting the British title be fought. They were brought by money, and that's why it happens. In answer to your question, Jams, I've been with my missus for over 3 years. Her family are all mad Ipswich fans, so I've been converted to Tractor.
Scumbag.
Yes, fantastic goal. I was on the tube next to some Southampton fans when that goal went in. It's fair to say they weren't best pleased with me jumping up in the air.
To be fair, though,
we had a good night.
Meet up next year, can't we? When they play Huddersfield and Sheffield and that in Championship.
Oh, I agree with you, Rod. It's a great fight, one way or the other. But yeah, we'll preview the upcoming fights after one last thing I want to mention. Jaron Ennis's fight's been announced with Karen. For November the 9th, is it in Philadelphia? And then
November the 9th, Wells Fargo.
Fell asleep, mate. Bored of listening to Jaron Ennis.
Do you know what? It's a good card actually. Ray Ford's on it. Obviously, Bam Rodriguez.
Who wants to see him rematch Karen?
Boots against Karen. Yeah,
nobody wants to see that fight. It's rubbish.
I think the hand was played on it, to be honest with you, mate.
They had to fight him, didn't they? They had no choice because, give
up the belt or fight him.
Didn't Brian price himself out the fight? What's he called?
Brian Norman had the fiasco, didn't he? With the
Brian Norman's dad.
Brian Norman's dad priced himself out of the fight. There we go.
You imagine that conversation around Christmas table when they're sharing a pot noodle, just a brassic, and they could have been eating caviar. Your dad's a dickhead. Tell him to keep his flipping nose out. Sorry, I nearly said something else then, but I took Liam's advice and said flipping. Mr. Norman Sr., sit back and shut up because you've just done your son the biggest injustice because you know what? Not only did he lose that fight, but now promoters will lowball him from here till hell freezes over. That kid will struggle to get a decent payday now because they know what they can do.
He's fighting on Keyshawn Davis's undercard for $200,000.
Well, there you go. There you go.
of which his dad's taking 190 of it. But, you know, if that's what he wants to do with his career, then let him. But
a bit like Sean Porter and his dad.
Oh, Kenny Porter was another level. But just going back to this card quickly, before we wax lyrical about the fact that we've got Boots Ennis and Bam on the same card, if I'm Karen, my promotional team have won this fight, and now I'm going back to Philadelphia for the fight. I'm sure the financial comeuppance is there, but if I've won the purse bids, I want the fight on home turf. Why am I going to Philadelphia? So first of all, I'd be pissed off at my promotional team if I was Karen. Secondly, Boots Ennis wins this fight however he wants. He'll get a stoppage victory. He'll look fantastic. Hopefully, he then moves on to the fights we all want to see him in at 154. That's that. Bam Rodriguez is a pound for pound future great without a shadow of a doubt, and we're getting them both on the same night. Look, in 3 years' time, these guys could be two of the top 3 pound for pound fighters. So the fact we're getting them on the same card is fantastic, but they're 2 underwhelming fights. I would have much rather had Boots Ennis against a more established name than him rematching an opponent he's dealt with before. And you could have given, I believe this is Bam's mandatory, so okay, he's got to do it.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're going to set it off with Boots and Bam, but they're in 80-20 fights. They're not competitive fights.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's A-side heavy, Liam.
It's a typical A-side heavy card. You've got Ray Ford having his comeback fight after Nick Ball beat him. You've got Ammo Williams coming back. So you've got some good names on there, and it should do good ticket numbers again in Philadelphia. But
I sell out the Wells Fargo again. But yeah, I'm with you.
I reckon I could watch
Tevin Farmer on it. He isn't there? Tevin
Farmer. Have you not got your man on it? What's his name? Your guy.
Hammering Hank Lundy.
Yeah, Hank Lundy. Surely James played.
That's Ammo's opponent. That's Ammo's opponent.
57. He's got fights left, brother. Don't worry about that.
Bam Nakatani, Dan says, sign me up for that. Bad boy, that's a
crack. I want to see Nakatani fight. You know with me.
Yeah, man. That'll happen next year by the sounds of it.
Unfortunately, you can probably watch that card with your eyes closed and still be able to see who's won every fight because it is A-side heavy, which is a shame. But look, at least we're seeing Boots fight instead of him now sitting out waiting to see what happens with 154. He's got to be active after how long he was inactive for towards the end of his PBC contract. So it's good we're seeing him. This will be the first time since 2020 he's fought twice in a year, which is ridiculous when he's at the age now where he should be fighting 3 times a year minimum.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll move on to looking at this weekend's fights then. It's a Friday heavy weekend, in fairness. It is. We'll start with the UK Family Feud card. Charlie Edwards against Thomas Asomba. That's fight and manage.
Right there, Liam. Just having a little stretch, are you, lad?
I was trying to get rid of something, but
just randomly walked up back of your room and back.
Liam's getting his 10,000 steps in.
I was meant to be going to the bin, but I dropped whatever I wanted to put in there, so I need to find out later.
The real storyline though of Edwards Asomba is that Sonny Edwards manages Tom. So he's actually fought before, haven't they, Sonny? And
they fought in a final eliminator for the IBF during COVID times. So
like 8 losses on his record, Asomba's.
Yeah, this is a crazy fact.
Is Asomba one of the Congolese kids that did the London Olympics thing? Is he one of them?
Don't think so.
You know the kids I'm on about that came over.
I know the kids you're on about, yeah.
Team and just dipped. I thought Asomba one of them.
No, so sure. I said this to Jams yesterday when we were recording my show. Here's a crazy fact about Thomas Asomba. He made his pro debut in 2009 and lost on points. He then didn't fight again until 2014. He made his debut in 2009 and lost and didn't fight again until 2014, which I just blew my mind yesterday. You make your debut, you lose, and then you go missing for 6 years. It's a fight where it's being marketed off of Sonny now managing Thomas Asomba. Yeah. And if we're really honest, if you didn't have Sonny Edwards as Thomas's manager, there's not a lot of interest in the fight anyway. If we're being honest, there's still tickets available. It's good that it's on Channel 5.
I think that's why they've brought, because everybody knew that there was the backstory, but I think that's why they've tried to bring it to the forefront to give it a little bit of extra spice, because you need it to sell out the York Hall, mate. You've got a massive problem.
Yeah, look, Thomas Asomba has always lost when he's gone up against a certain caliber of opposition. And I don't see Sonny Edwards being any different on Friday night. I think Sonny Edwards boxes his head off for 12 rounds. Sorry, Charlie Edwards. Charlie, not Sonny. Charlie Edwards will box his head off for 12 rounds. My only question I have is, will Charlie Edwards' inactivity and the fact he's still on the comeback, this is his second fight with Sowlands, his second fight with Stephen Smith, will it catch up with him? Because Asomba has been more active. This is his third fight in a year, in 12 months. His second time defending the European title. Walled up hair difference in the fight. That's the only way I can see Asomba having a chance, is if Sonny Edwards isn't 100% on it. Sorry, Charlie Edwards. Charlie Edwards.
On your mind about Sonny?
Yeah, he's liking a bit of Sonny here. Luca, just to answer your question, mate. We'll be keeping an eye on both, but the live watch along on the channel will be for Charlie Edwards against Asomba. That'll be the live watch along. But we're keeping an eye on GBM as well. Jams has said, and obviously Liam, you're going, aren't you?
Thank you to Hawkan for raffling his ticket off, and Jams for doing the draw. Yeah, I'll be going to York Hall again on Friday night, which I'm looking forward to the main event. I can't comment too much about the rest of the card, but looking forward to the main event.
And then Jam saying Charlie's giving away 2 tickets for the show tonight. But the fight of the weekend for me, boys, the one I'm looking forward to most, MSG, probably being the baby MSG, but it's in MSG anyway. Sandy Ryan against Michaela Meyer. For me, that's going to be a good fight. I thought Michaela Meyer was hard done to against Tasha Jonas in January. I thought I thought Meyer won the fight. I honestly did. I genuinely thought she won the fight. Very partisan, amazing atmosphere in Liverpool, to be fair. It was a great night. But anyway, she's fighting Sandy, who's coming off a big win over Terry Belter Harper. How do you see the fight, boys? I think it's a cracker.
It's an apps. Sorry, go on, Joe. I'll let you go.
I was just going to say that, it's a good fight on paper. I just think we've got 2 girls. Sorry, ladies or people. I'm scared to say what they are in case I get myself in trouble. But yeah, 2 fantastic boxers. You know, Maya was a world champion in her own right. I just believe it's a weight division too much for her, and I think she's got more miles on the clock. She's a little bit older than Sandy. I think Sandy's a natural welterweight. I think she hits considerably harder, and I don't think it's going to be the fight we're expecting. I think it's going to be a one-sided ass whooping.
Yeah. The only other person who fought the most scalp-biased man in the world, Nick Peter, fight.
How dare you say that? Look, are you saying just because I fancy Tasha Jonas, I said she won? That's disgusting.
Yeah, she could drop her. You know, Sandy's got decent power for her. It's for WBO welterweight strap, I think it is. But yeah, she's got decent.
Brother Dave,
Terry Harper, I think, is vulnerable sometimes.
She can scrap. She's like a classier version of a brother, and I mean that not slagging what Dave's ability, but Dave was more of a fighter, so she's got that in her.
Dave Ryan was.
She's got that in her, but she's slick with it as well. She's really slick.
Yeah, Sandy's a fantastic boxer, and I said this on my show yesterday, Liam's Fight Night Picks, and I say it here with this audience. Let's not forget when Sandy Ryan fought Jessica McCaskill to become an undisputed champion. Sorry, unified champion.
Terrible cards.
She was absolutely robbed.
Robbed blind.
She was robbed. There's no other way to describe it. This isn't Brit bias. This is being deadly serious. She was robbed in the back end of last year when she went in for that fight. So this realistically should be for 3 of the 4 plus the Ring Magazine world titles. This should be a bigger fight than it is. Sandy Ryan is a very classy operator. My only concern with her is she's done it at a limited level. The opponent that she's lost to hasn't never won a world title and has also been beaten by common opponents that her and Michaela Meyer have. Michaela Meyer has the amateur head. Yeah, everyone can have a bad night. I completely agree. And she's bounced back from that absolutely fantastically. But that is a good point to make. Michaela Mayer's had an amateur career. Ironically, she's more well known in the UK than she is in America.
Yeah,
she's had 4 fights. She's had 4 fights in a row over in the UK, hasn't she? So she's definitely made a name for herself in the UK. Top Ranker Guild billing this as the ultimate betrayal because
it's got
Sandy Ryan's now being it's got a bit strange.
By Meyer's old team.
So the trainer, I forget his name, Jams, we spoke about it yesterday. Come into the chat for me, please, mate. He has been with Michaela Meyer from the Olympics and the amateurs all the way for her pro career, and he's moved over to Sandy Ryan for this fight. So that's a long-term relationship
that's a slap in the face.
That is the ultimate betrayal.
But that tells me that he knows who the better fighter is. He's back.
Yeah,
he's back the favourite, hasn't he? Which is disgusting, really.
He's Don Kinged it.
If anybody, we need Chris Eubank meme to come in here because that coach has done a scumbag move. That's a scumbag move. Go on, man. That's a scumbag move.
It's. I honestly, I knew he'd been Michaela Mayer's coach. I did not realise he'd literally been with her through the amateurs and her Olympics as well.
Disgusting. I didn't know
disgusting.
That. I thought Sandy Ryan had just took one of the coaches. I didn't know she took the coach. That's a shithead move, man.
I actually favour Michaela Mayer in this fight, and I just wonder if there we go. Thank you, Jams. Complete name escapes me. I actually favour Michaela Mayer in this fight, and it's all to do with actually.
That is, mate. Sorry, go on. I'll just try to be funny then. It didn't work.
No. I didn't even hear it. You
don't want to go on. Sorry.
I favour Michaela Mayer, and I put that down to her amateur experience and the fact that she has shown what she can do. She wants to make it a bit more of a boring fight, so to speak, in terms of she looks to box it. She could win this fight on points quite comfortably for me. If she gets drawn into a brawl and it becomes a bomb-heavy fight in terms of who can land off their heaviest leather first, it favours Sandy Ryan. It kind of will come down to what Michaela Mayer has left in the tank. If she can fight and take the emotion out of this fight and actually get through her boxing, and if she can, I think Sandy may be in trouble.
You struggled to get through that sentence, then, didn't you? Because you'd picked. I did. You struggled a bit there, didn't you?
I did, but it's on my it's on my show as well.
I can't disagree with your take on it. I can't because Mayer's got the amateur pedigree in terms of she was a more established amateur, probably one of America's greatest female boxers, probably in terms of amateurs.
It's a fair assessment.
She's I know there's Claressa Shields, etc., but in her own right, I think she was a lot more like than Claressa Shields. She's sort of Marmite in how people take her or don't take to her. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I just believe it up at welterweight. She is a lot slower than she was further down the weight divisions, and I think that's going to. The fact that Sandy's a natural welterweight, I think that's probably the contributing factor that's going to be the difference between the two girls. I think that Sandy will be a lot lighter on her feet, and I don't think Michaela's going to be able to box as she wants to. I think Sandy's going to make it the fight that she needs, which is rough, tough, up against the ropes. That's how I think that's what I see could play out.
Yeah, mate, I agree with you, and it's also similar to what Sandy came up against with Terry Harper in her last fight. Fights are moving up in weight to take the opportunity, and ultimately she couldn't stand up to the power at a higher weight. And Steffi Ball done Terry a favour by pulling her out after 4 rounds to save the punishment. So
yeah, she would have got. Proper.
Yeah, I just don't think. I think Michaela Mayer is cute. Well, she is a cuter fighter than Terry Harper, and she'll be able to negate that power a bit more, which means it becomes a more drawn-out fight. I could be proven completely wrong, and Sandy could stop her, but I see it becoming a more drawn-out fight. Just on Luca's comment, Sam, that's here. He's talking about it's not a fight in the UK, mate. So Sandy Ryan is going over to Top Rank to fight the MSG. It's out in America. So it's not a UK fight. Yeah, they're down in the Hulu Theatre. Sorry, I just wanted to bring that up. But
that's all right. It's a fascinating fight, Pat. I agree. On your take, will Ryan be able to stop Michaela? I don't personally think so. I think she wins a fairly comfortable.
Not with 2-minute rounds. I think if they did 10 threes, then yeah.
I think Maya's tough as well. She's come through. In fact, we'll move on to one of Maya's former opponents in the undisputed fight, Alicia Van Gardner. She's fighting Delphine Pursoon, who's won every fight since losing to Katie Taylor very controversially. That was around about 4 or 5 years ago, if I remember now. But she's 39 now, Pursoon. She's probably seen her best days, if we're being honest.
I hope she wins. Baumgardner.
Well, yeah, Baumgardner's been out, hasn't she?
Yeah,
let's address
choice. She's been out because she cheated. Let's not gloss over
Let's address the elephant in the room. Yeah,
she's done a positive. She's peed hot. Let's say.
Yeah,
with very little explanation, very little.
It's kind of just been brushed over, hasn't it?
Yeah, she's never really taken responsibility for it. She's denied it. It wasn't me. I think she said she got spiked. She's had tainted supplement. Basically, she's not taken responsibility for it. I would have thought more about. I'd have still disliked it because I don't believe there's any place for it in sport in general, but certainly not fight sports. I don't believe in short bans and allowing people to come back and then potentially doing it again. We've got boxers that have had multiple positive tests, and this one seems to have been glossed over to make a fight. People are not talking about it anymore. Barely spoke about it when it happened. It's a great fight, and I think if Persoon's got anything left at 39, we'll see a fight. We'll see a dog fight because that girl can fight. They both can. I mean, Baumgardner, as much as I don't like what she's done, I can't deny her boxing ability. She can box.
And that's a similar position to where I'm in. I don't like the whole way this has been handled. I mean, we talk about the Conor Benn situation nearly being 2 years down the line, and we still don't know fully the ins and outs of it in the UK. For context, Baumgardner fought last July, popped hot immediately in her post-fight drugs test. She's had in January this year, it came out as being a false positive test. So as far as the US anti-doping agency were confirmed, she was cleared to fight again. But she wasn't sanctioned or given a license, or one of the few states that would give her a license to fight was Florida, which is why this fight is happening.
Yeah, Florida loose as a goose about who they sanction.
They are. So for me,
Florida
but you can't
produce about everything.
Anything.
Florida is a world in its own right.
But for me, you look at what Baumgardner had done. She absolutely iced Terry Harper on her feet. It was one of those knockdowns where Terry froze, didn't she, on her feet, completely out of it. Yeah. That was a few years ago. The fight against Michaela Mayer when she became the unified champion at super featherweight was razor thin. You can make an argument either way for who won that on that night. That was a very close fight. She's a very talented boxer, but you can't ignore the issues she's had. And then you come on to Delphine Persoon. She's the only female boxer I've ever seen that's had over 50 fights in her career. So first of all, hats off to that. This is her 53rd professional fight. She's won 49 of them. She's a former world champion, obviously, as we know, down when she took on Katie Taylor. What she got left, though, this is her last chance to become a two-time two-weight world champion. I just don't think she's going to have the ability in her legs, if you get what I'm saying, to hold off Baumgardner for 12 rounds. I think that age may catch up with her in this fight, and she'll be competitive, but I just don't see her being able to keep Alicia off like she might have been able to do 3-4 years ago.
Will the power be affected? And Pat's made I didn't even know this. It's an invite. I know it was an all-female card, but I didn't know it was an invite-only kind of thing that they've got going on. It's a little bit, seems strange.
That's dodgy.
Seems strange when you're trying to turn a profit when you're promoting a show.
In Florida, mate. We don't know who's
the Wild West out there. We'll quickly cover GBM before we move to Harper and Dixon. You've got who's fighting Hughie Fury, Maxie Hughes,
Shaquille.
Reese Moulds on it, is he?
Reese Moulds fighting Ryan Walsh.
That's a decent fight.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Maxie
3 or 4 years ago.
Maxie Hughes and Hughie Fury having 6 rounds, you could consider them as being layups for them to move on to bigger things. Ryan Walsh, Reese Mould would have been a good fight, like you just said, Jay, 3-4 years ago.
I think
Ryan Walsh just fell off the face of the earth, didn't he?
Yeah, he got stopped, didn't he lose in the golden ticket thing, didn't he?
Did he fight Tank, or did I dream that?
No,
that was Liam.
Right,
Liam. Oh yeah, that was it.
I know him pretty well. To be fair, my brother used to go to Tenerife and do camps over there with him. So they used to base themselves over there. So it's the cards. Okay,
it's the cards. Yeah. Ryan Walsh in his day, he's an outright holder of the Lord Lonsdale belt, but that's down at super featherweight. He's coming up in a weight division to fight this fight against the fighter who's fringe British level, if we're being honest about Reese Mould. But I don't see Walsh being able to cause him any sorts of trouble. I don't think he's going to be able to turn the clock back enough to make it a competitive fight. I think Mould will take a wide points victory on that.
Yeah, Maxie Hughes as well, Luke. He got robbed against Kambosos in Oklahoma.
Robbed blind, absolutely horrendous.
Kambosos got destroyed. No harm in that by Zepeda. We've talked a bit of shit about Zepeda on this podcast, but he is a good fighter. You can't knock the guy. But we'll move on to it's Sheffield, isn't it? It's Rhiannon Dixon against Terry Harper in the main event. Peter McGrail, he's fighting Brad Foster, is it, in the chief support? But yeah, how'd you see? It is a good fight. Yeah, how'd you see Rhiannon and Terry Harper going? Is it last chance for Harper?
Yeah, it is at world title level. I think Rhiannon's too young, too fresh. Yeah, I think Terry Harper's, as much as I hate to say this, I think she's had a day sort of thing. I think she's just a bit off now, and I believe that girls like Rhiannon Dixon are getting her at the right time. I think if this was 4 years ago, I know I keep saying that, it's a different fight, but the sport's evolved, new people come into the sport. Rhiannon Dixon's a world champion in her own right. I just think it's come at the right time for her. She's, fresher is the word I've used.
I think Rhiannon will be too cute for Terry Harper. I think she's just going to be able to put on a boxing. It's not going to be a boxing clinic, but she's going to be able to box the way she wants. She's going to box the way that her and Ant Crawler have gone through this training camp doing. Phenomenal partnership them two have, by the way. And she'll be too cute for Terry. Look, Terry Harper's had her last 2 fights up at weight classes that are well beyond what you'd expect her to be able to be competitive at. She's come out of a draw and a defeat. So she's coming back down to a more natural weight here. Could that favour her? Perhaps. But my big thing is you spent the last 18, 24 months up at a higher weight. So your body's got used to carrying around more weight to compete at a higher weight. You're now bringing yourself back down again. How much is that going to take up out of her? Okay, Jam's argument to me yesterday was she's now closer to her natural weight again. So it should suit her more. But she's probably realistically in life not being at this weight for around 2 years because of where she's competed at. So it could actually take too much out of her. Whereas, like you say, Rhiannon's on her way up. Her and Caroline Dubois is a hell of a fight if Eddie and Ben can kiss and make up and make that fight happen. Caroline wins it, but it's a fantastic fight for the British lightweight scene to see.
Yeah.
And I just think it's another notch on the Anthony Crollo Rhiannon Dixon journey for me. It's his first world champion. They've got a phenomenal partnership. And as much as I am a big fan of Terry, I just think she's not going to have enough on the night. She won't be stopped. It will go to the points, but I just don't think she'll have enough on the night.
Jam's boxing chat back in the belter. She's only 27, still seems older. She does seem older than that, Jam. You're right.
No, I'm not talking about physical age. I'm talking about mileage. Terry Harper's had some hard fights and some tough fights, a couple of tough losses. Rhiannon Dixon's fresh as a day.
The stoppage, man. She just stopped her right in her tracks.
It was like dead.
Horrible stoppage.
It was not good to see. And Rhiannon Dixon's 10 fights in or something like that. She's not had many fights, has she?
This is her 11th fight.
There you go. So she's not got a lot of mileage. I was supposed to go to see them in camp to see Ant, and I never did. But I know Ant puts her through her paces, and she can hit hard and all. She hits deceptively hard. I think we're in for a fight, but I just believe that Dixon will edge it.
I said it last night, and for me, the big leveler is Terry Harper's power and her ability to turn the tides of a fight by landing some shots and getting her opponent rocking onto her heels is what a leveler is in this fight. But I just think that she's going to be too cute, Rhiannon Dixon. She's going to know what the game plan is from Terry, because Terry's game plan has been the same regardless of who she's fought. In terms of she's come forward, it's high pace, it's high energy, it's looking to land big shots. She leaves gaps open. And we know how much of a smooth operator Rhiannon is. If you look, I think I tallied up, she's had 1 stoppage in her career, won everything else on points. She's lost less than 10 rounds if you look at the judges' scorecards. So she doesn't lose many rounds because of how cute and slick a boxer she is. And the amount of openings that are left by Terry Harper because of her come forward style, I just think fit perfectly into the palm of her hands.
No, I agree. I will just say this. Liam does also say cute about men's fights as well. We're not being sexist, but he has said it about 20 times now. So I just want to put it out there. I thought that Daniel Dubois' boxing was cute also at the weekend. I just want to make sure that no one...
Don't discriminate on no punches pulled.
Joshua was cute. There we go.
There you go, man. They're all cute.
All cute, mate. Little cutie pies.
Couple more talking points, boys, before we wrap up. I'll finish on the promoters. But before that, Tank Davis's next fight is rumored to be against Lamont Roach Jr.
Come again?
Bringing him up from super featherweight to lightweight. Rumored to be December. I think Benavidez may be rumored to be on the card as well. His sole defeats to Jamal Herring. He's got not really much punch power.
Nobody wants to watch that fight.
I'd be very disappointed if Tank fought Lamont Roach in his next fight.
It is an absolute.
It's not the
that's
fight
not even a step down. That is not even a step down. That is a jump off a cliff down. Right? After all the talking, all the verbals, he's fallen out with everybody that would get within an inch of him, right? For this not to be a name of some sort, yes, absolutely. How we doing, kid?
There you go, Jack.
It's disappointing. It's super disappointing. No disrespect to Roach. I don't want to see you fight Tank. I mean, good luck to you. You'll get a payday and you'll get knocked out. But I say that these are the type of fights that you get a banana skin with. So probably now I've said that, Roach will fill Tank in.
Do you know what it is? It's they're both from Baltimore or Maryland or whatever it is, so they can do it in that kind of part of the world, and they'll sell it off the back of that. But yeah, it's not as Pat said. PBC's biggest problem is the cash.
Let Turkey buy them. Just let Turkey buy PBC.
Mate, you talk about this fight being you talk about this being between two Baltimore fighters. The rumored arena for this is a T-Mobile in Vegas, so they're not even taking it out to Baltimore. Really? They're still trying to sell it in. Yeah, remember Tank was apparently has the T-Mobile books for the last Saturday of November. That's now moved to the first Saturday of December to incorporate Benavidez. So yeah, two Maryland Baltimore fighters, fantastic, but then you're still going to try and sell it in Vegas.
Makes no sense. That will not sell out unless there's a couple of superstars on undercard.
It unfortunately shows where PBC are at.
Yeah,
as good as
don't move as I think he is. I'm telling you now, you can't put Tank in there against the tin can and sell out Vegas. It don't work. Doesn't work. Yeah. It's got to be somebody on the other corner.
It'd be very underwhelming, wouldn't it? And Benavidez, let's be honest, he's not going to fight. If he's at 175, who's he even going to fight on the undercard? Bivol and Beterbiev it won't be. David Morelli won't fight him probably, so he's just going to fight probably who?
Tin Can.
Tin Can.
If you are then going to try and sell it off against Gervonta Davis against Roach Jr., David Benavidez against an opponent, you're lucky if you sell out the bottom tier of the T-Mobile, if we're being really generous, unless you're going to stack it with a humongous undercard. But most of PBC's greatest assets either fought in September or are fighting on the Tim Tszyu card in 3 weeks' time. So they're not going to be ready to go realistically into another big fight in December. It's just a strange move. We've gone from thinking Tank was going to fight Lomachenko to this. I don't think I'm being overly... Lads, if you think I'm being overly harsh, say...
No, I heard it was going to be Valenzuela, and I was comfortable with that fight. He just beat Pitbull, and it was a good win. I'll give me Tank Valenzuela. I've no problem with that. But...
Yeah. Mate,
from Valenzuela yeah, go on, Liam.
It's a competitive. Valenzuela would have been a competitive fight as soon as we heard Loma wasn't going to fight this year, which we knew about at the start of the summer, didn't we? Valenzuela made sense as an opponent. What does Roach Jr. bring to the ring other than you're bringing him up in weight, right? So you're just giving the advantages to Tank even more, which is what Gervonta Davis does. He is a weight bully fighter who either brings fighters up to his weight or drags fighters down to a weight they're not comfortable with, and then can have his way with them. That's what he's made a career. He's a 5-time WBA regular world champion, for goodness sake. He's only ever defended one of those belts once. That tells you everything you need to know. He's happy to maneuver himself around, to handpick the right opponents, to gain as much money as he can. Let's be honest, when he came through with Mayweather, we were talking about him being a generational talent. There is still time for Tank Davis to be a generational talent, but not if you're going to be fighting the likes of Roach Jr.
I agree.
Yeah, well, Tank's nearly 30 years old. Rod's just dropped a little comment in the bottom here saying he's got a big name. Billy Nelson's got a big name for Martin. I think it's Cabiel, not made official. Guessing he means Ajit. Do you know what? The more me and Jay obviously spoke about it last night, the more I thought about it, I actually think that they might do Bacoli and Cabiel myself. I genuinely do. I think they'll do Parker Dubois if AJ doesn't want the sorry, what am I about? I'm on about I think they'll do Zhang and Parker. I think that rematch clauses are going to hold some weight at some point. So I think in December on Furiusi, you could get Bakoli, Cabiel, and Parker versus Zhang too.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. You want to see Bakoli in big fights. He deserves big fights. Billy Nelson was banging the drum for what he wanted to see for Big Martin before the weekend. He's now relentlessly commenting and trolling anything from Kieran Farrell saying, "Oh, you're mentioning all these fighters. Why aren't you mentioning Big Martin Bakoli?" He will make sure he gets in a big fight. The reality is he may just have to have one more fight in the meantime. And that's not a bad thing because Ajak Kabayel, for example, is on a very good run. He's come off stopping Frank Sanchez and Makhmudov, hasn't he, on Riyadh season shows. If Bakoli gets in there and stops Kabayel, all it does is rise his stock, and then he gets the big boys.
Mm-hmm. Also, Valenzuela has a rematch clause then. That's what Jams is saying. I think Kabayel doesn't. Kabayel needs a fight. He'll fight any of them. Ajak Kabayel, he's not going to be fussy. He's the forgotten man, and he's the king of the Who Needs Him club. No, I know it's a bit of a cliche, but he genuinely is the king of the Who Needs Him club. So if he can
there's so many options for what the heavyweights could do. I know you've always covered it more last night, so we won't get into it again. But that December 21 card in Saudi,
it's going to be off the chain.
I hope and feel will be very heavyweight heavy, similar to the Day of Reckoning last year. I think we're going to get some big boys in there against each other.
Yeah, 100%.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Before we wrap up, boys, I want to get your thoughts on what transpired last week and today. Even there's just been a picture. This is the level of pettiness we're kind of getting with the promoters. Just while we're on the show, I was on X putting a link out, and I saw that Eddie Hearn posted a picture of the face-offs of every fight, except for Ben Whittaker, where he posted a picture of him shaking hands with Ben Whittaker and Ben Shalom looking on. There's been a lot of pettiness going on with the promoters lately. Hearn and Warren are chumming up a little bit. Ben Shalom seems to have been frozen out a little bit, but Simon Jordan's backing him on TalkSport. You know, these guys are grabbing a lot of headlines. For me, I think Ben Shalom's probably buzzing with the publicity. His name's getting out there a lot. You know, I think Hearn and Warren actually giving him more publicity than they would like to, but I just it doesn't sit right with me. Hearn and Warren chumming up all the time, and it's just like, let's be honest, they wouldn't be working together if it wasn't for Turkey. And I get that because they're on different paths and they're competitors, but it just, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me.
It's gone past that point for me now. It's gone past that point of it being a bit of a gimmick, you know, and they leaned into it a little bit. But this ganging up on Ben Shalom is really petty and pathetic, and Eddie's taking it to another level of pettiness now, and that's saying something coming from me. I am the king of petty, but I'm not a professional boxing promoter that's got people's lives and careers in his hands, and he's just being pathetic. You know, he's basically telling Ben Shalom that he's coming for Ben Whittaker. That's what it feels like to me, and I don't like that. I just think it's
trying to intimidate him.
Just not. It's not good. It's not nice.
It's gone beyond the level that you can class off as banter or whatever you want now. It has become a level of massive pettiness. It's almost as if Frank and Eddie have gone, but like, right, we're the Saudi boys. Turkey's given us the money. Oh, we don't mind sharing it with Kali and Nessa because we've done business with them for years. That's fine. Oh, you want to bring this new kid in? Who's he? What's he done to deserve this? And now and that's what they're doing. They are belittling Ben and boxing every single turn. It is. Yeah. It's exactly that. It's school playground shit. That is pathetic. Horrible to watch. It's pathetic to watch. And it's another stunt from Eddie today whilst he's trying to dress like a public school boy in his glasses with a nice tie on. Like, it's just absolutely pathetic at this point, and it doesn't sit right with me. It really doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Luca. And Ben definitely hasn't painted himself in the best light with especially with the Dalton Smith and Azim situation. I wasn't a big fan of how that was handled. But ultimately, you know, what I'm talking about from my personal level is all the way through fight week, you know, it just seemed a bit pathetic by Eddie and Frank. You know, Ben Shalom doesn't need Eddie and Frank to put him down. He's making plenty of mistakes himself with what he's doing. So the fact that them two you know, I wouldn't say they're threatened by him because they're clearly not. They're clearly way longer in the game than him. They know way more than him.
No, I disagree. I think the whole reason
I wouldn't say.
Well, listen, he's got a decent sized contract, right, with Sky. He's taken a corner of the market. Whether they left that opportunity there for him or not. Right, and I do believe that they are not intimidated by him, but they definitely are pissed off that he's still in the game. Eddie dismissed him 3 years ago. Won't last. He'll be gone in 6 months. Here we are, and he had no choice but to have him there because he had fighters on that card. And I just believe that they don't like that he's not in bed with them. So now they do. It's like you ask the girl out at school, she says no. So I didn't like you anyway. It was only a joke. You're being pathetic, Eddie.
But that's what I'm saying. He's like, I'm not bothered about Ben, and like, I don't care about boxing. He always palms him off. He goes, Ben deals with Frank Smith. That's what Eddie loves saying. He's like, Ben deals with Frank Smith. I don't deal with Ben. And then there's a picture of him. He's posting a picture shaking Ben Whittaker's hand, and then he's clearly doing that, like you say, to try and rile Ben Shalom up, and he's on stage and he's going to knock him out.
Simon Jordan's not involved. Forget that narrative. Simon Jordan considered it for about 5 minutes. And he's
apparently they've been spinning that though all weeks.
Yeah, but Simon's he's already poo-pooed it and made an official statement. I do not have any interest in boxing and don't own any percentage.
Yeah. For me, it's funny how this is coming up now. Now boxers are involved in this Sky negotiation, etc. Sorry, in the Riyadh season negotiations, etc., etc. And like you say, Simon Jordan's come out and denied it. Perhaps Ben Shalom did look at him because he was looking for a business mind, someone that knows
boxing as well.
Who knows boxing, who knows how to guide around the business side of things as well. Because Simon Jordan is a businessman as well as his involvement in Crystal Palace over the years. He's a businessman. But look, if Simon Jordan was going to be involved in boxing, do you think he'd be quiet about it? He's got one of the biggest mouths in radio. He would have been shouting from the rooftops the second that was announced. Yes, he goes to a lot of boxer shows, but remember, boxer's official radio broadcaster is TalkSport, so that just goes hand in hand. You work for TalkSport, you can go to the shows. Don't read too much into that, but the whole school playground vibe that Eddie and Frank are giving off, it needs to stop. Whether Ben deserves to be at this top table with them or not, doesn't matter. He's there at the top table. Treat him as an equal because that's what he's been seen as by Turkey. He's as equally involved and as entitled to be involved as Top Rank, as Matchroom, as Sauerland Brothers. So treat him equally. They're not dismissing Top Rank fighters or Kalle Sauerland, are they? They're allowing them to be a part of it. So Ben's exactly the same.
I think what Eddie's doing, Eddie's trying to bait Ben into making the fight.
He is, definitely.
You're too scared, you're dead, and you're this, you're that. Expecting Ben to go, all right then.
Well, that's Jay, you bang on the money because there's an interview that was on AFL with the both of them at the red carpet thing for the Riyadh season card. And he goes, 5v5, let's do it, Matchroom versus Boxer. And
have you got 5?
And have you got 5? And then he goes, okay, we'll make Azim versus Smith. Eddie Hearn said the first fight, Azim Smith. And then he's like, oh, go on, then make it. Go on, let's do it. And then he's like, Ben goes, I'll have to speak to his man. Ben Shalom clearly doesn't have the, he can't just be
jurisdiction.
So Eddie's fully aware of that.
Ben's just being honest because he doesn't, right? And Eddie doesn't have that. Eddie still has to speak to their people, but Eddie's big enough within the game to just put it out there. Make the fight, let's make the fight. We all know you can't just make the fight like that. It's not as simple as that.
It's not as simple as that now.
Ben's too green to bullshit. So I think Ben's biggest problem is he needs someone like me to teach him how to be more of a bullshitter because he's too honest for his own good and it blows up in his face. He's too honest for his own good. And I think that's the biggest problem for him. He's just being open and honest, whereas Eddie's fast Eddie and he'll tell you everything you need to know and not what you have to know.
Have to know, yeah.
Yeah, but they're trying to bait Ben into giving them what they want. And it's just turning out like a pair of, like you said, schoolyard bullies.
That's where it stems from, isn't it? They're more old school salesmen, Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn. Ben Shalom's very much doesn't like being on the camera. He's very much, he's very good at operator at what he does, clearly. He's built a good company, but he's not a flash guy. He's not, going to give you the big sales pitch that Eddie can. He, freewheel at these press conferences and, all that, which, not everyone can be like that. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it plays out. But yeah, for me, it's just school playground shit from
Whilst we're on the subject of Boxer, just while I've been having a scroll while we're talking, Boxer have officially confirmed Zerdo against Bill and Smith for the 16th of November is happening. So that's officially now. We've heard the rumours that it's card was being built, but Zerdo, Bill and Smith, 16th of November to unify 2 belts at Cruiserweight has officially been confirmed. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. It's being classed as Riyadh season. Being classed as Riyadh season Latino. So obviously it's going to be the Golden Boy Latino fighters. You would imagine the only British fighter on there is going to be Bill and Smith. So let's see what happens with that. It should be free to air as well, which it needs to be, because if we were honest, the 5 fights they're talking about for that, they're not pay-per-view standard, are they?
Yeah, most definitely. Anything else to add, boys, or shall we wrap up?
I think we've covered everything there is to cover in boxing over the past week, I think.
I think we're going to have a similar kind of show next week. Obviously, it's Nick Ball next weekend, but there's not too much else on. Is there next week, but we'll find a way. We always do. Liam will be at the Your Call on Friday. Myself and Jay will be live watch along, and it's on Channel 5, I believe. That one is a Wasserman card, isn't it?
It's on Channel 5, boys. So I do similar to what I done after the Noakes fight. If I can jump on the live and give you some instant reaction, I will do, definitely.
Yeah, man, definitely.
We'll dial you in, brother.
Yeah, we'll be there for that. I'll definitely be there
for me and the No Punches pulled top.
Yes, see that. I'll definitely be there for Ryan versus Maya. I'm sure.
So will I.
Jay and Liam will be as well. We'll definitely be there for Terry Harper versus Rhiannon Dixon, obviously, as well. So quite a few fights for us to get stuck into there. We'll maybe get a review show done on Sunday. We're adding that to the schedule now for the boxing.
I will say this. I might not be there for the Baumgardner Pursuit fight.
You know what? Cheers, Rod. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Just get up for the main event.
Yeah, to be fair, they're different shows, so they might not clash. We'll see how it goes anyway.
See how it goes,
we'll see how it goes. So we're adding the Sunday show to the schedule. Obviously, Liam's Fight Night picks out with the main man, Jam's Boxing Chat, so go and check that out on STBX. Jay's Fight Talk, make sure you go and subscribe. JFT picks his back when?
Thursday.
Tomorrow?
Thursday, I'm doing a short show, but I'm keeping it to Saturday afternoon, so it'll be back on Saturday about 2 o'clock.
Okay, so keep an eye out for that on Jay's Fight Talk YouTube channel, so go and subscribe there. Obviously, at Liam_Tully9 on X, at Jay's Fight Talk on X. Any final words from the both of you?
No, just thanks for tuning in. Thanks for interacting. And as Sam said, like, comment, share, subscribe. You know who this guy is. You know who that guy is. Everybody knows who I am. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Thanks as always, guys.
The modest bloke at the bottom. No, as always, guys, thank you for all the comments. Thank you for all the likes, subscriptions. I finally hit 300K on X and my numbers are starting to move up. So big thank you to everyone that's followed me in recent weeks. And another look, there's not as many big fights this weekend, but we're still going to be around doing the watch-alongs, doing our thing. So come and join us if you want to chat some fights.
As always, we'll find a way, whatever it is. We're boxing reprobate, so we'll find a way to talk. Thanks to Dan, Wayne, Rod, DJ Pat, Luca, Jam's Boxing Chat, Absolute Boxing. I think that's probably the extent of it for tonight. Maybe a couple of others if I've missed you, sorry. But we'll see you on Friday night for Family Feud, and have a great evening, everybody. Cheers.